This was Serena Sterling's 30th blind date, the Hilton restaurant. The man in the suit wasn't particularly good-looking, but he stared intently at Serena's beautiful features with immense interest. Serena, however, kept her head down, stirring the coffee in her cup, silent and evidently uninterested in him. Meanwhile, outside the restaurant, a black Maybach was parked discreetly in a corner. The windows were tinted dark. Liam Pierce sat in the back seat, his features handsome but his aura cold and piercing. Years of dominating the business world had given him a powerful, intimidating presence. He lowered the window, watching the interaction between the two in the restaurant calmly. At first, their conversation seemed peaceful enough. But a moment later, perhaps because the blind date made a suggestive remark and revealed a lewd smile, Serena's expression changed slightly. She immediately stood up to leave. The man, however, was quick to grab her, refusing to let her go. In the car, the assistant in the driver's seat was startled to see Miss Sterling being harassed. He was just about to turn around and say something to his boss. But before he could speak, he heard the heavy sound of the car door opening and closing. Looking again, Liam had already gotten out of the car and was walking into the restaurant. Even his back radiated a chilling coldness. "What do you mean? We haven't even chatted much. Why are you leaving? Aren't you just trying to sell yourself for a good price? Do you think I can't afford it?" This man was from a wealthy family known in the city's elite circle. He had heard that Serena Sterling was going on blind dates everywhere despite being only 20, and he was convinced she was aiming for a marriage of convenience for profit. Serena's eyes were cold as she spoke indifferently. "Let go." Her feisty demeanor only tickled the man's fancy even more. He laughed lewdly, about to say, "What if I don't let go?" Suddenly, someone kicked him hard from behind, and immediately after, his wrist was crushed in a powerful grip. "Ah!" he screamed in pain, his legs buckling uncontrollably as he fell to his knees, forced to let go. Looking up, he saw the man who was nearly breaking his hand. His face instantly changed color. Mr. Pierce." Liam looked down at him from above, regarding him like an ant. The man's eyes were filled with confusion. Wasn't it Liam who arranged this blind date with Serena? Liam spoke coolly, every word cold as ice. "I asked you to have a blind date with her. Did I ask you to touch her?" After speaking, he increased the pressure on his hand. Only when the man was about to faint from pain did Liam let go, tossing him to the ground like trash. He usually didn't bother giving a second glance to these spoiled trust fund babies, but the thought of the scene just now made him unable to control his anger. Seeing his assistant follow him in, he leisurely picked up an unused napkin from the table to wipe his hands. "In the future, I don't want to see this family in the capital city." The assistant nodded respectfully immediately. Understood. This meant the family was to be blacklisted. The man's face turned abruptly pale, but before he could beg for mercy, Liam was already leading Serena out. Serena didn't say a word from beginning to end. Liam unhurriedly led her into the car, while the assistant stayed behind to clean up the mess. Only the two of them were in the car. Liam caught a glimpse of her cold eyes and knew she was unhappy. In fact, since the first time he arranged a blind date for her, Serena had not been happy. He was silent for a few seconds, looking at the girl's delicate profile. "Unhappy? I will have people screen them strictly in the future. This kind of person won't be brought before you again." Serena was full of anger. She finally turned to look at him, her eyes red. "Liam, are you really going to push me to someone else with your own hands?" In the entire city, few dared to call him by his full name, let alone Serena, who was 12 years younger than him, a full zodiac cycle. In fact, when she was a child, Serena always called him Uncle Liam. Liam and Serena's father, Robert Sterling, were lifelong friends. The two families were close, and he had practically watched Serena grow up. The man who summoned wind and rain in the city was, in Serena's eyes, just her Uncle Liam. Therefore, Serena had been exceptionally dependent on him growing up, and Liam had indulged her in every possible way. He would stay by her side for 2 days and 2 nights when she had a fever and fell into a coma, waiting for her to wake up. He would buy all the strawberry cakes in the city to coax her when she cried. He would specifically clear his schedule during her summer vacation, leaving work behind to take her skiing in Switzerland. As Serena grew up, she developed different feelings for her Uncle Liam. At some point, She stopped calling him Uncle Liam and started calling him by his name. Liam wasn't used to it at first, but he couldn't help spoiling her, so he let her be. Until 6 months ago, the love-struck girl finally revealed her feelings. Serena boldly confessed to him. The result was tragic. She still remembered that night. On the cruise ship, wearing a carefully chosen dress, holding a love letter, she stood on the deck with a blushing face and said she liked him. Liam had never shown her such a dark expression. "Do you think I would like a little girl, Serena?" A bucket of cold water was poured over her, and the girl's blushing face turned pale. He rejected her decisively. Then, as if to completely cut off her absurd thoughts, from that day on, he began to constantly introduce blind date partners to Serena. At this moment, Liam met her gaze again, not annoyed, only saying to himself, "Then what kind do you like? I'll look according to your standards." Serena truly hated him like this. If he really didn't care about her, why did he dote on her so much growing up? Always teasingly saying she was his little ancestor. If he really didn't care about her, why did this usually cold and distant man resort to violence in public for her just now? But if he cared about her, why did he insist on pushing her to others? Serena's eyes grew redder. Just as she was about to speak, Liam's phone rang. He swiped to answer. The car cabin was very quiet, so the woman's voice coming from the phone was particularly distinct. Serena's heart tightened. She subconsciously looked at him, only to see the usually cold man now wearing a somewhat gentle expression. A few seconds later, Liam hung up the phone and looked at Serena. "You go back by yourself first. I have something to do." If she didn't hear it wrong, she vaguely heard the word date from the phone just now. Her hands tightened and she couldn't help asking, "Who called you?" Liam looked at her quietly, and after a while he spoke slowly. "My girlfriend." Those 2 words exploded over Serena's head like a thunderclap. Before she could even process it, tears were already streaming down her face. Liam was startled at first, then silently opened the compartment in the car and took out a candy. When she was a child, every time she cried, Liam would hold her and coax her, then put a milk candy in her mouth. The sweet taste would spread in her mouth, and Serena would often forget her sadness. Even after she grew up, his habit hadn't changed. Liam habitually peeled a milk candy and fed it into her mouth. The sweet taste immediately spread in her mouth. Serena had just held back some tears because of his action. The next second, she heard Liam speak again. "You go back first." She got out of the car in a daze. The assistant returned quickly, and the Maybach slowly drove away. Serena stood there, the word girlfriend circling in her mind. She didn't listen to Liam and go back. Instead, she hailed a taxi and followed the Maybach ahead. The taxi followed behind, and Serena saw the Maybach stop at the entrance of a high-end residential complex. Soon, a tall, beautiful woman walked out. This woman was probably 5 or 6 years older than her, wearing a Chanel dress and carrying a limited-edition Hermes bag. She looked like a socialite at first glance, and standing with Liam, she actually looked somewhat well-matched. And Liam, who had always kept his distance from women, was very close to her, actively taking the woman's hand to help her into the car. It was as if a hole had been gouged out of her heart, the cold wind blowing in. Serena stood there, nearly trembling. So he really didn't lie to her. Is this woman really his girlfriend? A dense, bitter pain rose in her heart. Watching the car drive away in the distance, as if torturing herself, Serena continued to let the driver silently follow them. Then she saw them go to a restaurant for dinner. It definitely wasn't Liam's choice, because they went to a French restaurant. She knew Liam hated the taste of foie gras, so he rarely ate French cuisine. Today, however, he accompanied this woman. After dinner, the woman took Liam's arm and walked into the shopping mall. Serena got out of the car and followed silently, watching Liam accompany the woman shopping and watching a movie. He actually carved out an entire afternoon to date her, and she silently followed them for the entire afternoon. In the end, even when she went home, her face was covered in tears. At the Sterling Villa, seeing their daughter return, her parents were completely unaware of her desolation. They asked with smiles, "Serena, how was the blind date today? The person Liam introduced must be good. You should choose carefully." Her parents didn't know about Serena's confession to Liam. They only thought Liam was kindly arranging a future for the younger generation. Serena lowered her head, hiding the dried tear tracks at the corners of her eyes, and didn't answer. At first, the people Liam introduced were indeed carefully selected. Almost all the outstanding men of her age in the city had been introduced to her, but Serena had various ways to discourage those dates every time. Later, he became anxious, wanting Serena to fall in love quickly. The frequency of introductions became higher and higher, and the quality of the candidates began to vary, just like the one today. She had no heart to complain to her parents, only saying, "Not very suitable." After speaking, she locked herself in her room. She buried herself in the blanket, silently shedding tears. The next day, her mother knocked on her door. "Serena, aren't you up yet? Come with us to the banquet." "I'm not going." Under the blanket, Serena's voice was muffled. Mrs. Sterling frowned. "How can you not go? Liam is so good to you. He'll be unhappy if you don't go." Hearing the name Liam, she immediately threw off the blanket, revealing 2 eyes. Because she had cried all night, her eyes were still red. The Pierce family banquet. In the end, Serena naturally came with her parents. However, to her surprise, as soon as she walked into the Pierce estate, she saw the woman from yesterday standing next to Liam again, and he was taking that woman to circulate among the guests, acting as if she were the hostess. Everyone knew that the heir of the Pierce family had always been aloof and never had a woman by his side. Bringing her to the Pierce family banquet was tantamount to giving her a title in public. This was the first time in history. Therefore, all the guests were extremely respectful to this woman. Only Serena's face looked worse and worse. The Sterling parents were completely unaware of their daughter's change and chatted happily. It's rare to see Liam attending with a female companion. Is she his girlfriend? They look quite compatible. Not a single sentence was what she wanted to hear. Serena's heart stung, but she couldn't help looking at them. Then she saw a noblewoman's son accidentally bump into Liam's partner because he was running around in the garden. Liam immediately reached out and held her waist firmly. When the two looked at each other, a shy smile appeared in the woman's eyes, clearly looking like a couple in passionate love. Serena couldn't stand this intimate scene. Her nails dug into her palms, but she still masochistically refused to look away. Soon, her parents took her to greet old Master Pierce. When they came out, Serena realized that Liam and Fiona seemed to have suddenly disappeared. The people who had been socializing just a moment ago were suddenly gone. She subconsciously looked around, didn't see anyone, ran to the pool outside, and still didn't see anyone. After a while, Liam appeared again, holding the woman's hand, walking towards Serena. "Serena, where are your parents?" "Chatting with Grandpa Pierce," Serena said, then suddenly saw something, her breath catching. At this moment, his suit jacket was slightly open, and on the collar of his white shirt, there was a faint lipstick mark. Her mind buzzed. So, when they disappeared just now, they were. Her heart went numb from the shock of that lip print, but Liam had already started the introduction. "This is Fiona Fletcher, my girlfriend." Serena looked at the gentle and elegant woman in front of her, her eyes reddening again. She called out in a hoarse voice, "Sister Fiona." Fiona nodded, looking at her with a meaningful smile on her face. After a while, Liam was called into the inner hall. Fiona didn't follow. Serena didn't want to be alone with her, so she made an excuse to leave. But just 2 steps away, Fiona's voice came from behind. "Little girl, you are still so young. Does your parents not care that you like Liam?" Boom, it felt like something exploded in her heart. Serena turned around abruptly. Fiona had a look of understanding on her face, clearly very aware of her feelings for Liam. But even her parents didn't know about this. How could she know? Could it be Liam? Impossible. He clearly wished the whole world wouldn't know about this. Serena was so shocked she forgot to retort. "You, how do you know?" "Your eyes can't hide things," Fiona smirked, her eyes showing a trace of disdain. "But what does a child like you know about love? I advise you to give up early. Besides, he has a girlfriend now. You wouldn't want to intervene in our relationship, would you?" Serena's face turned pale instantly. Unable to bear these prickly words, she immediately retorted, "I never thought of causing destruction. I won't disturb you." After speaking, she turned to leave, but she didn't see Fiona's eyes darken. Suddenly, Fiona reached out and pushed hard on her waist. Serena pitched forward violently, and the next second, she fell into the pool. Immediately after, Fiona smirked and jumped in too. Splash, splash, the 2 sounds of falling into the water instantly attracted everyone's attention, especially Liam. Upon learning that Serena and Fiona had fallen into the water, his expression changed, and he rushed out immediately. He took off his suit jacket and jumped into the pool. The pool was deep, and Serena couldn't swim. Submerged by wave after wave of water, she struggled in fear, her heart filled with terror. The darkness at the bottom of the pool was suddenly broken by a light. In her blurred consciousness, she recognized that it was Liam. Serena's eyes lit up immediately, and she waved to him with difficulty. However, Liam, who had spoiled her since childhood, ignored her completely and turned direction. Without hesitation, he swam towards Fiona. When Serena woke up, she found herself lying in a hospital ward. She opened her eyes with difficulty. Only her parents were guarding her worriedly. She didn't see Liam anywhere. Mrs. Sterling stood up quickly. "Serena, you're finally awake. Your dad and I were scared to death by you." Serena asked hoarsely. "Mom, who saved me?" "A waiter by the pool. Luckily, he knew how to swim." Mrs. Sterling clasped her hands together, almost praying to Buddha. Serena froze slightly. So, the image of Liam leaving her behind and swimming towards Fiona before she passed out was not a hallucination. She closed her eyes, suddenly feeling a sharp pain in her heart. Seeing her poor complexion, Mrs. Sterling assumed it was caused by drowning and tucked her in. "Lie down and rest well. Fiona is still lying down too. Liam has been guarding her the whole time." So he didn't come because he was guarding Fiona, guarding the person who pushed her into the water. It was very late when Liam finally came to the ward to see her. Seeing her lying pale on the hospital bed, his first words were not of concern. Instead, he said with a cold face, "Don't do this kind of thing again." His tone was cold, seemingly carrying a hint of anger. Serena was stunned, not understanding his meaning. "What thing?" Liam frowned, thinking she was acting, suppressing his anger. "What are you still pretending for? Fiona told me everything. You deliberately pushed her into the water." "What?" Serena forced herself to sit up, shocked that Fiona would twist the truth like this. But what was even more unbelievable was Liam's reaction. He clearly believed Fiona's words. The person who used to favor her and trust her the most had dealt her major blows twice in one day. "I didn't. She pushed me," but no matter how she explained, Liam clearly didn't believe it, looking at her with disappointment. "Fiona is gentle and kind. How could she suddenly push you? On the contrary, you." He didn't continue, but Serena understood from his expression. Liam believed she pushed Fiona out of jealousy because he knew she liked him. Her nose stung, but she persisted. "I didn't." But this explanation only made Liam's eyes darken. After a long time, he spoke heavily. "Let this be the last time." After speaking, he slammed the door and left directly. Serena looked at his back, her heart filled with unparalleled sadness. It wasn't like this. It clearly wasn't like this before. When she was sick before, he was clearly the most distressed. But today, not only did he not say a word of concern, he even questioned her. Before he opened the door to leave, she finally couldn't hold it back and shouted aggrievedly, "Liam, is my liking you a cardinal sin? Because I like you, you force me to go on blind dates and introduce so many partners to me. Because I like you, you boldly bring your girlfriend in front of me. Because I like you, you let her wrongly accuse me like this." As she spoke, she began to choke up. "You clearly loved me the most before. Even when the whole world didn't believe me, you would stand in front of me." She suddenly recalled when she was in the first year of high school, she was once accused of cheating on an exam. In high school, she was busy practicing dancing, so her academic scores were usually not high. But for that final exam, she got a perfect score, so no one believed her. Classmates said she cheated, teachers and parents were skeptical, and the school almost canceled her grade. Only Liam believed her. Hearing about this, he immediately rushed back from abroad, canceling a cross-border cooperation and losing a project worth tens of millions. He sat on a plane for more than 10 hours just to rush to the school to back her up. "I know my kid. She couldn't possibly do such a thing. The school better produce evidence. Without proof, she won't accept this framing, and neither will I." When the whole world didn't believe her, he stood by her side. And now, just because of Fiona's accusation, he questioned her so recklessly. Liam's hand on the door froze. Actually, for the past 6 months, both of them had tacitly avoided mentioning the word like. Serena was afraid mentioning it would make him unhappy, and Liam presumably didn't want to face it at all. Hearing her talk about these things again, his face indeed changed. He turned back and looked at her coldly. "Serena Sterling, I told you, stop talking nonsense." Listen, this is his evaluation of her sincere heart. Serena suddenly wasn't afraid anymore. She looked at him stubbornly with red eyes. "You know best whether I'm talking nonsense." She didn't understand. Why was her affection so shameful in his eyes? Just because he was her father's friend? Just because he was 12 years older than her? Just because he was an elder in the eyes of others? But liking is liking. Loving him was carved into her bones. To make her give up, unless she was skinned and deboned, "I like you, Liam. Even if you introduce me to more men, I still like you." Every word of this sentence stepped on Liam's landmines. His face was as dark as it could be, his brows tightly furrowed. Finally, he stared at Serena's face for a long time, didn't say a word, and left filled with a cold aura. After this day, he never came to the ward to see her again. And after Serena was discharged, what greeted her were even more blind dates. Her words that day did have an effect, but it was the opposite effect. Liam introduced blind dates to her more frequently. It used to be once a week, now it became once every 2 or 3 days. And the dating partners were no longer limited to the city. Nationwide, anyone suitable was dragged over to be introduced to her. And during this time, Fiona somehow got her number and sent messages to Serena every day. It was nothing more than various provocations. Sending photos of dates with Liam, photos of roses sent by Liam, and even photos of Liam's shirt left at her house. Every time Serena saw these photos, from the initial heartache to suffocation, and now she was numb. Fiona continued to send them perseveringly every day. "Serena Sterling, do you see? Liam really likes me." On the way to another blind date, she saw another text from Fiona. Serena glanced down, then turned off her phone. She smiled bitterly in her heart. These two were indeed a match. One used photos to provoke her to give up, and the other used blind dates to force her to compromise. Actually, when Liam first forced Serena to go on a blind date, she had refused. But at that time, Liam just glanced at her lightly and said, "You understand what I mean. If you don't go, I won't appear in front of you in the future." He simply knew too well how to threaten Serena. Since then, sure enough, no matter how unwilling she was, she went obediently every time. Arriving at the restaurant, Serena sighed and walked in again. The blind date this time was about her age and looked quite handsome. Serena was beautiful, so the boy was quite interested in her. But Serena, perhaps due to recent emotional fluctuations or the aftereffects of falling into the water, felt incredibly dizzy as soon as she sat down. The chattering voice opposite her annoyed her even more. She really couldn't sit there anymore. Not long after, she picked up her bag and stood up. "Sorry, I'm not feeling well." However, rising too quickly, she fainted before she could finish speaking. Before closing her eyes, she saw the boy's horrified look. Then he actually threw her aside and ran away in the last second before passing out. She thought mockingly, "Liam, is this the person you found to take care of me for life?" Serena had a dream. She dreamed that when she was in a coma, someone held her in his arms, sighing helplessly. He said, "What should I do with you?" The smell on that person was so familiar, so good. It seemed to be her Uncle Liam. So Serena refused to let go, clinging to that person entirely. In the dream, she no longer held back, crying and complaining to him, "Liam, can you not hate me? Can you like me a little bit?" The person in the dream did not answer immediately. But after a while, she vaguely heard him say, "Okay." When she woke up, she found herself lying in the Pierce residence. The next second, Liam pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing her awake, Liam placed a glass of water on the bedside table and raised his hand to touch Serena's forehead. "The fever is gone. How could you be so confused that you didn't even know you had a fever?" Serena still hadn't quite reacted. Immediately, she remembered the "okay" she heard when she was half asleep. Was that a dream or reality? Her heart moved slightly and she immediately asked, "Did you take care of me yesterday?" Liam said coldly, "The servants took care of you. I was accompanying Fiona to a concert at that time and just came back." Accompanying Fiona again. Serena's eyes dimmed immediately. Then she mocked herself in her mind. Right, he avoided her like the plague. How could he like her? Truly a fool's dream. In the room, both fell into silence. Serena thought of the blind date who ran away, leaving her behind before she fainted. She spoke quietly. "The person you introduced left me and ran away today." Even if it means I have to marry this kind of person in the future, are you still going to push me to others? Liam glanced at her. I will choose better quality ones for you in the future. You clearly know that's not what I want. But Liam didn't answer her anymore. Seeing she was awake, he didn't stay in the room and got up to leave directly. As the room returned to silence, a wave of bitterness rose in her heart. In the end, Liam simply arranged for a driver to send her home. He didn't even come out to take a look before she left. But fortunately, since that blind date was too pathetic, Liam perhaps realized he was too hasty. Afterward, the frequency of finding people for her returned to normal. Unknowingly, more than a month passed like this. Serena hadn't seen Liam for a long time. Maybe he was intentionally avoiding her, maybe. He was busy being in love with Fiona. They met again at a banquet. Her parents were on a business trip and not at home, so Serena had to attend such occasions alone. In the magnificent hotel ballroom, among the silhouettes, she saw a familiar person at a glance. Liam, standing beside him, was still Fiona. Fiona also saw her and walked over holding Liam's arm. Serena, what a coincidence to meet here again. Serena didn't want to greet her hypocritically at all, keeping silent. Liam frowned instead. Serena Sterling, can't you hear someone talking to you? Where are your manners? That lecturing tone of an elder again. Serena stiffened her neck, rarely not submitting. Fiona smoothed things over. All right, Liam, don't be so fierce. By contrast, it made her appear more understanding and Serena seem ignorant. Liam looked at Serena coldly, finally leaving only one sentence. Don't drink, or I won't be able to explain to your parents. Then he left with Fiona. Serena was filled with loneliness, thinking bitterly, is his concern for her now only for the sake of her parents? The banquet was buzzing with voices, but her heart was incomparably lonely. Serena thought she might have made a mistake coming to this banquet. Usually, she could numb herself, but as long as she ran into them, she had to face their affection directly. She stood in the corner, silently watching Liam block drinks for Fiona, fix her hair, and smile gently at her. Halfway through the dinner, she finally couldn't stand it anymore and left for the restroom. But she met two men in the corridor. One of them saw Serena, and his expression immediately became sarcastic. Oh, isn't this the haughty Miss Sterling? Serena looked up and saw Justin Lewis's face, a famous playboy in the circle. 3 months ago, she went on a blind date with him. Justin Lewis was somewhat interested in Serena and tried to ask her out after the date. But Serena had no interest in him whatsoever and never replied to his messages. Justin was an arrogant person. It was the first time he had lost face like this, so he held a grudge against Serena. Serena was in a bad mood today and had no time to respond to his sarcasm, passing by in silence. This disregard made Justin even more annoyed. He stared hatefully at Serena's back. I'll teach her a lesson sooner or later. The brother beside him had a gleam of a mischievous prank in his eyes and leaned in to whisper something in Justin's ear. How about it, scared to death? Justin smiled with satisfaction and looked coldly behind him. Restroom. Serena looked at her gloomy self in the mirror, barely recognizing herself. Clearly, she used to have a smile on her face and never had any worries. Only at that time, she was wrapped in Liam's pampering and protection. Now, she washed her hands and walked silently towards the door, but she suddenly realized that the restroom door had been locked at some point. She pulled it a few times but couldn't open it, instantly panicking a little. At this moment, Justin's mocking voice came from outside. How strange, my pet snake is missing. Did it slip into the restroom? Hearing the word snake, Serena froze instantly, the hair on her body standing on end. The next second, she heard Justin say, Miss Sterling, you're inside, right? Remember to play nicely with my snake. Even if her reaction was slow, Serena realized this was a trap deliberately arranged by Justin. Her body went numb, and she pounded on the door frantically. Let me out, Justin Lewis, let me out. But the person who was talking just now pretended not to hear, and soon she heard footsteps leaving. The restroom was suddenly left with only her. The next second, she heard a hissing sound coming from the left. Serena turned her head stiffly and saw a snake about 1 meter long, entirely green, hanging on the wall. Her hair stood on end, and she immediately covered her mouth. Screaming would only attract the snake's attention. Serena trembled, backing away step by step. She had been most afraid of snakes since childhood, let alone being locked in the same room with one. Serena frantically dug out her phone from her bag. At a time like this, the first person she thought of was still Liam. And here, he was the only person she could call for help. Holding her breath, she dialed Liam's number. Every minute and second was torture. "Liam, answer the phone. Please, answer the phone." The green snake seemed to smell her scent and slowly crawled towards her. Beep, beep. The ringtone rang for a long time, but it never connected. She longed for Liam to protect her just like when she was a child, holding her in his arms when she encountered danger, softly telling her, "I'm here, don't be afraid." But this time, Serena made many calls, but the other end never answered, until the snake got closer and closer to her. She retreated constantly, her legs shaking so much that she even knocked over a cleaning bucket nearby. Dirty water spilled all over her dress and shoes, and the snake heard the movement, crawled onto the floor, and flicked its tongue at her terrifyingly. Finally, when the call disconnected again, Serena finally understood that this time, Liam would not come to save her. The snake lunged at her face. Tears of fear flowed constantly, and she sat on the ground, her legs giving way. Just then, the sound of the door lock opening finally came. Hotel staff had discovered the restroom was locked and came to open the door. Seeing the girl sitting on the ground, pale with fright and face covered in tears, the waiter was startled. Several people quickly joined hands to catch the snake. Serena was wet and dirty, looking as if she had lost her soul, staggering out of the restroom. Justin appeared again, looking at her state with satisfaction. "Tusk, Tusk, how did the high and mighty Miss Sterling become like this?" Red-eyed, Serena only gave him a cold look and walked quickly towards the ballroom. He must have been busy just now. Must have been busy, right? But as soon as she walked in, she saw at a glance Liam kneeling on one knee on the ground, rubbing Fiona's leg. His expression was focused, his face gentle. Fiona leaned halfway on the sofa, her face slightly red, probably drunk. Suddenly, she leaned over and whispered something. He curled his lips in a smile, planted a kiss on her cheek, picked her up directly in his arms, and walked quickly out of the ballroom. Not a single glance was cast at the disheveled Serena beside them. Never had there been a moment where Serena realized so clearly that she seemed to have truly lost him. In the past, no matter where she stood, no matter how many people were around, he would always see her at first glance. But now, in his eyes, there was only Fiona. Upon returning that night, Serena had many nightmares. Dreams of being surrounded by snakes. Dreams of Liam holding Fiona's hand, saying to her, "Serena, stop pestering me." She couldn't distinguish which nightmare was more terrifying. Because of the shock, she dreamed of snakes for several consecutive days, waking up in the middle of the night unable to fall back asleep. Serena fell seriously ill, but checkups at the hospital showed nothing wrong physically. The doctor only said she needed to rest well. She didn't dare sleep at night. When she was exhausted, she could only rest during the day. But nightmares still came during the day. "No," Serena screamed again, waking up from a nightmare covered in sweat, only to find Liam standing by her bed, looking at her with a complicated expression. He evidently knew what happened at the banquet that day. Looking at the pale Serena, he seemed somewhat guilty. "I've already dealt with Justin Lewis. You won't see him again." Saying this, he reached out and rubbed her head. That meticulous gentleness felt as if they had suddenly returned to the past. Overwhelming fear swept through her body. She couldn't hold back anymore and threw herself into Liam's arms, sobbing, "Don't leave me. Stay with me. Stay with me." Perhaps the girl's helplessness and fear were too obvious. This time, Liam finally didn't push her away. With difficulty in his arms, Serena's trembling heart finally calmed down. But soon, Fiona called again. Fiona sprained her ankle while going down the stairs. Upon hearing this, Liam immediately pushed Serena away. "I have something to do, I'm leaving first." Serena's heart trembled, and she tried to grab his sleeve in panic. "Don't, I'm so scared." But the person who used to hold her in his arms and coax her tirelessly threw off her hand again. Ignoring Serena's crying and pleading, he walked out without looking back. In the empty room, only the girl's suppressed sobbing remained. It didn't subside for a long time. It took nearly half a month for Serena to finally slowly return to normal. During this time, Fiona still sent her text messages to provoke her every few days. All sorts of photos of Liam accompanying her. She always liked to ask, "Serena Sterling, seeing these, do you still like Liam?" Serena looked at those photos silently. Actually, in this half-month, she thought about giving up many times, but she found she really couldn't do it. The person she had liked since her teens, how could she give him up? It would be as painful as hollowing out her heart. So even though her heart stung incomparably, she stubbornly replied with one word. Yes. But what Serena didn't expect was that the next day, she was called into the study by a livid Robert Sterling. Disgrace? Explain clearly to me, who do you like? Her father furiously threw the phone at her. Even her mother, who usually doted on her, stood aside with a tight frown. Serena opened the phone to look, her heart tightening suddenly. The answer she sent to Fiona yesterday was actually forwarded by Fiona to her father, Serena Sterling. Seeing these, do you still like Liam? Yes. The word yes, so obvious. Even the number was hers, so she couldn't argue. Mr. Sterling asked her sternly, "Tell me, is this true you really like Liam?" Facing her parents' interrogation, the heart that panicked upon first seeing the message suddenly calmed down gradually. She felt a trace of relief. Finally, she didn't have to hide her feelings anymore. After a long time, Serena spoke word by word. That's right. Her father's face turned even darker, and he threw the documents on the desk at her face with a swing of his hand. Outrageous, I see you have no shame left. Do you know Liam is 12 years older than you? He is your uncle, your elder. Furious to the extreme, he suddenly stood up and pulled out the whip hanging on the wall. Mrs. Sterling saw he was going to use family discipline and panicked immediately, rushing forward to stop him. No, she just recovered. We just need to bring her to her senses. Mr. Sterling clenched his fist to calm down for a moment, then looked at Serena. Fine, as long as you say right now that you don't like Liam, I'll pretend today's events never happened. Serena's eyes were red as she looked at her parents in front of her. The next second, she spoke word by word. I like Liam. Say that again? With a snap, her father was furious, and the whip landed viciously on her body. The force was extremely heavy. She was knocked to the ground, almost fainting from the pain on the spot. But she still endured the pain, kneeling on the ground with difficulty, refusing to bow her head in the slightest. Mom, Dad, I like Liam. I like Liam. I really, really like Liam. Snap, 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 several more lashes came down. Her father whipped her body, one lash after another. But the person who used to be most afraid of pain gritted her teeth and didn't even cry out in pain, only repeating sentence after sentence. I like Liam. Winter had arrived in the capital city. The cold wind howled outside, and inside the villa, Serena was beaten until she was covered in blood. But she refused to yield. Until her parents saw her covered in blood, no matter how angry they were, they didn't dare continue. Enraged, her father ordered her to kneel in the courtyard outside. In the evening, heavy snow began to fall from the sky. She covered herself with a pale face, kneeling in the snow for a day and a night. The next day, a thick layer of snow had accumulated on the ground. In the boundless white, only the place where Serena knelt was red. That patch of snow was stained with the blood she had shed. Mrs. Sterling walked out, saw this scene, immediately covered her mouth with red eyes, and almost cried out. Her daughter had been spoiled since childhood. They hadn't hit her once, scolded her once. She was spoiled to the point where she needed candy to swallow medicine. But now, she would rather grit her teeth and suffer such heavy punishment than say she didn't like Liam. Mr. Sterling's eyes were also red, but he still asked coldly, "Do you know your mistake yet? Do you still like Liam?" Serena looked up palely, her voice hoarse, but she still stubbornly said, word by word, "I made no mistake, I like Liam. How could liking someone be wrong?" Seeing her so obstinate, Mr. Sterling almost had a stroke from anger. He said good several times, then threw the whip in his hand at her violently. Get out of here from now on. I'll pretend I don't have a daughter like you." In the snowy landscape, Serena staggered to her feet. She turned and left amidst her father's curses. The thought of wanting to see Liam had never been so strong. She took out her phone with blood-stained hands and tried to call Liam, but Liam didn't answer. So Serena called his assistant and asked where he was. The assistant gave an address, and Serena rushed over with a pale face. When she arrived, she realized it was a famous couple's restaurant in the city. The usually overcrowded restaurant was deserted inside today. Walking in, she saw the hall decorated romantically, filled with pink roses everywhere, and a small orchestra playing violins nearby. And not far away, inside a large heart made of rose petals, stood Liam and Fiona. Serena seemed to realize something and stood frozen in place. Then, she watched helplessly as Liam took out a diamond ring and knelt on one knee. In that instant, it felt like heaven and earth stood still. A proposal. He was proposing to Fiona in this exquisite proposal scene. Only she, covered in blood and dirt, looked like an anomaly. After Fiona accepted the ring, Liam turned his eyes and saw Serena at the door. His expression changed abruptly, and he walked quickly towards her. "How did you get like this?" He grabbed her wrist, his voice trembling. Serena's face was impossibly pale, and her voice was incredibly hoarse, yet she looked at him stubbornly. "You're going to marry her?" Liam's dark eyes surged with emotion. Looking at this stubborn girl, he suddenly seemed to understand where the whip marks all over her body came from. Suppressing the darkness in his eyes, he let go of her hand. "That's right, so you really don't like me at all." The person in front of her fell silent. After a while, he spoke indifferently. "I've said it many times, I don't like you. If you want to fall in love after Fiona and I get married, I will find you a suitable partner as soon as possible." Even at this moment, his mind was still filled with thoughts of pushing her to someone else. The strength supporting her vanished. The pain that had been assaulting her took the high ground. So cold, so painful. She controlled her trembling tone. "As long as I'm with someone else, you'll be happy, is that right?" Liam's answer was unhesitating. His expression was indifferent. "Yes." From yesterday to today, Serena suffered many unbearable tortures. She endured 33 lashes, she didn't cry. She knelt in the snowy night for a whole night, she didn't cry. She was insulted by her parents, she didn't cry. But now, with just one word from him, she cried. The faint flame in her eyes finally extinguished completely. She thought, even if she pestered him endlessly, it was time to give up. After a long while, she forced the corners of her mouth into a laugh. Her slender body was terribly frail, and all her stubbornness disappeared. As if finally accepting her fate. "Liam, I said, I like you 999 times. You only said, I don't like you once, and I lost completely. I understand. I will try to forget you. You and her be happy." After speaking, without looking at Liam's face again, she turned around. Staggering step by step, she left. When she returned home, Serena couldn't hold on any longer and fainted completely. When she woke up again, Mrs. Sterling, who had been guarding the bedside, rushed over immediately. She cried, "Serena, Mom begs you stop being stubborn with your dad. Stop liking Liam, okay?" Serena's face was bloodless, not liking him anymore. She wouldn't like him anymore. After a long time, she spoke in a daze. "Send me abroad, I want to forget him." Hearing her daughter finally relent, Mrs. Sterling breathed a sigh of relief. Even Mr. Sterling, who originally had a dark face, looked a bit better. As long as it could make Serena forget Liam, they would naturally agree to anything. As if afraid Serena would regret it, they put her on a plane that very night. The next day, when Liam was working at the group headquarters, his assistant walked into the office and told him, "CEO Pierce, Mr. Sterling asked me to tell you that they sent Miss Sterling to study in New York, last night's flight." Liam was signing documents. Hearing this news, he inexplicably lost focus, the fountain pen drawing a long arc on the paper. A few seconds later, he spoke with a normal expression. "Understood." But after the assistant left, he sat alone in the office, lost in thought for a long time. When he came back to his senses, Liam frowned. "She left. She doesn't like him anymore." Finally, just as he wished, wasn't it great? He pressed his temples, swept away all distractions, and began to concentrate on his work. But late at night, that strange feeling surged in his heart again. He tossed and turned, somewhat annoyed, and turned on the light. Looking at the lights of the capital city outside the window, he was suddenly stunned. A thought drifted through his mind for no reason. What time is it in New York now? But soon, Liam suppressed those emotions. He took out his phone to check reports to divert his attention, but saw Serena updated a post on her social media. It turns out the snow in New York is even heavier than in the capital. A distance of over 14,000 kilometers, I exiled myself. She arrived in the US. For some reason, seeing this sentence, Liam's heart trembled fiercely. After this day, as if addicted, he couldn't control himself checking Serena's updates every day. 3 days after she left, she posted a video. In the video, she cleared out dolls, childhood hair clips, dream catchers, bracelets, and burned them all. Liam recognized that they were all gifts he had given her since childhood. 10 days after she left. She posted photos of the campus with a caption, "Embracing a new beginning." 1 month after she left, her location changed from New York to Switzerland. She posted photos of skiing. The place she used to wheedle him to take her to, now she could go with others. 3 months after she left, she posted a set of party photos. In the photos, she was partying with many classmates, both male and female. This was the first time Liam saw her having so much fun beside other men. 5 months after she left, she posted a set of official announcement photos. "The peach blossoms don't need to bloom. The person I was waiting for has arrived." In the photo, she was with a boy whose face couldn't be seen clearly. Under the blossoming trees, Serena smiled and hugged the boy, while the boy intimately held her waist. The two were kissing that day. Liam clicked on her post in the middle of a meeting. 3 seconds later, bang, Liam's phone suddenly crashed to the floor. The mid and senior management in the entire large conference room looked over in unison. Everyone was baffled. Immediately after, everyone saw Liam, who usually didn't change his expression even if Mount Tai collapsed before him, suddenly change his expression and run out like a madman. Clearly, he was the one who made her leave. Clearly, he was the one who told her to love someone else. But why, now that everything had gone according to his wishes, was Liam unwilling at this moment? Seeing the post Serena shared, he knew she was somewhere in the country now. At this moment, Liam could no longer restrain his true inner feelings. He wanted to return to Serena's side quickly. His heart was aching faintly. This was the most painful his heart had been in these agonizing 5 months. He thought driving Serena away was the best thing for her and for himself, but now it seemed different from what he expected. "As long as I'm with someone else, you'll be happy, is that right?" "Yes." But seeing it, he wasn't happy at all. Liam just got into the car, wanting to rush to the place where Serena took the photo, but received a call from Mrs. Sterling first. "Hello, Liam. Serena is back in the country. She brought a boyfriend back. Come over for dinner tonight. Old Robert and I are out buying gifts for Serena. Serena and her boyfriend are at home. You can wait at the house." Liam tried his best to pretend to be relaxed. "Okay." On the way to the Sterling house, Mrs. Sterling's words echoed in his ears, lingering, refusing to disperse. Serena really brought a boyfriend home. She really fell in love with someone else. Liam lowered his head and looked at Serena's posts one after another on his phone. Staring at the familiar name he couldn't say aloud, the corners of his eyes gradually turned red. These 5 months were neither short nor long. Short enough for Serena to fall in love with someone, long enough for Liam to feel like years were passing by when he missed Serena. He dreamed of seeing Serena again. Now that Serena was really back, he didn't dare touch anything casually. Liam arrived at the door of the Sterling home. He hadn't set foot in this door for almost 5 months. Perhaps because Liam himself wanted to escape. Whenever Robert and Mary invited him to dinner, Liam would always find excuses to decline. Because when he saw this villa, it would always evoke some sad memories. "Would your house, my house is your house." At that time, Serena was still very young. Liam touched 15-year-old Serena's head and said with a smile, "Don't touch my head. Will you take responsibility if I don't grow tall?" 15-year-old Serena slapped Liam's hand away. "Your house is my house. I wonder if this sentence still counts." Liam gently rubbed everything in this room. Coming from the outside into the temperature-controlled room, coupled with his reddened eyes, his pale face gained a bit of color. But he recovered quickly. Liam came in and saw the housekeeper, Uncle Jones, but didn't see Serena and her boyfriend. Uncle Jones saw that Liam was looking for Serena, so he told Liam that Serena was currently in the study. The study door was closed tight. Liam felt his arm weighed 1,000 pounds and couldn't lift it. Just knocking on the door seemed to exhaust all his strength. "Enter." A plain, cold voice came from inside. Liam felt his heartbeat seem to stop for a second. His hand was stiff. It took several seconds before he gently grasped the handle and opened the study door. Bypassing the bookshelf that reached the ceiling serving as a partition, Liam walked around from the right and saw the little girl sitting at the desk by the floor-to-ceiling window. Seeing that familiar figure, her pink cherry lips curved slightly, beautiful and moving. It was just that her face no longer held the childishness remaining from back then, replaced by cold, beautiful eyes and thin lips that no longer smiled. Her fingers were slender and fair, momentarily flipping through documents, then typing skillfully on the computer keyboard. Her gaze never left the documents and computer screen. But that so-called boyfriend didn't seem to be here. He finally saw her. In these 5 months, she seemed to have changed from a little girl into a woman capable of standing on her own. The longer they were apart, the more certain Liam was of his feelings for Serena. Now she sat right here. Liam dared not blink, afraid this was a dream that once he closed his eyes, it would all be empty. "Don't call me for lunch, today at noon." "See?" Liam opened his mouth but ultimately failed to say the next letter. Hearing a tone completely different from the housekeeper's, Serena looked up, her cold eyes meeting the man in the black suit in front of her. The silence lasted for nearly 2 minutes. One examined the person before her without shying away, while the other constantly avoided the other's gaze. Finally, Serena broke the silence. Liam. Immediately feeling it was inappropriate, she smiled gracefully, a smile that didn't reach her eyes, her manner elegant but distant. "Long time no see, Uncle Pierce." Pain struck Liam's heart. Hearing such a polite address of uncle from Serena's mouth made him afraid to breathe. He swallowed with difficulty and replied, "Long time no see." She must resent him for being so cruel back then, wanting her to completely forget him. But he didn't want that either, seeing Liam now not as cold as in the past. Sure enough, after finding a boyfriend, she became much gentler. Serena saw Liam still standing there and sneered in her heart. "Sit." As if receiving an order from the master of the house, Liam slowly walked to the sofa in the study and sat down. "See, Serena, have you been well these past few months?" Liam forced a smile, trying not to look too strange. Serena's fingers flipping through the documents paused. She looked up at him, her eyes devoid of warmth. "Uncle, what do you think? An abandoned person doing well." Serena looked at Liam and felt herself becoming more and more ridiculous. Before Liam could speak, the study door opened. "Serena, is the work done? I've booked a table. Let's go out for lunch." A brisk voice came from behind the partition. The next second, the person who had just walked past stopped. "You are?" The person stepped closer. "Uncle Pierce, right?" Liam looked at the man standing before him like spring sunshine and didn't react for a moment. Realizing his rudeness, Liam stood up quickly, somewhat constrained. "Yes, I am Liam Pierce, Serena's uncle." Wyatt Quincy walked up quickly, looking pleasantly surprised. "Serena introduced you briefly on the way back." "Hello, Uncle Pierce. I'm Wyatt Quincy, Serena's boyfriend." Liam didn't know how to continue the conversation, but looking at Wyatt, he felt that he seemed much more lively and sunny than Serena. Serena stood up without explaining, not even glancing at Liam, and simply said to Wyatt, "Let's go. I'll accompany you for lunch first and check back later." Serena's face remained expressionless, but her voice softened. Like a breeze blowing across one's chest, it bypassed Liam and blew into Wyatt's ears. Wyatt smiled and walked to Serena's side, his eyes smiling. "Since Uncle Pierce is here too, why don't I change the table for 2? Let's eat together." "No need." 2 voices sounded simultaneously, one icy, one hoarse. "I already ate before coming. I'm just here for dinner. You guys go ahead." Liam tried to control his voice not to be too obvious, but his eyes seemed fixed on Wyatt's hand holding Serena's sleeve, unable to look away. After listening, Serena said nothing. Her expression just turned cold as she walked out of the study with Wyatt. It seemed Serena treated him much colder than she treated Wyatt. Liam seemed to see the shadow of himself with Fiona in Serena and Wyatt. Liam walked out of the study like a lost soul and met the housekeeper asking if he wanted any fruit. At the huge table, Liam sat alone. He didn't answer Uncle Jones but stared blankly and asked, "Do you think Serena likes that boyfriend?" When Miss Serena came back, I also felt she had changed a lot. But when facing Mr. Quincy, she always smiles, Uncle Jones said implicitly, but Liam had no reason not to understand. Serena wanted to take his home back. Uncle Jones didn't wait for Liam's reply and cut several kinds of fruits and placed them on the table. Of the 5 kinds of fruits on the table, aside from a very sour grape Liam ate, almost nothing else was touched. When Serena and Wyatt came back, Liam was sitting by the window in the second-floor guest bedroom. Watching Wyatt get out of the car, go around to open the door for Serena, and put his arm around Serena's waist walking towards the house. At that time, how much determination had Liam mustered to propose to Fiona in front of Serena? Was that proposal really necessary? Now Serena has someone she likes, just as he wished. Does his return now disturb Serena? She has changed, just like him, becoming another person. The door sounded a beep from the fingerprint unlock. Immediately after, Liam, who had just come downstairs, saw Serena bring Wyatt in. Wyatt's hand around Serena's waist retracted only then. Immediately after, what was in front of Liam was Serena's expressionless face. Wyatt, on the other hand, had a smile on his face and walked straight towards him. "Uncle Pierce, I think we should have a good chat now. I always feel Serena is hiding some secrets from me." Wyatt, an indifferent voice sounded. Liam was stunned, and Wyatt was also stunned, but immediately turned his head. "What's wrong? It's all your fault. I just said to take Uncle Pierce to eat and you refused. Asked you to eat faster and you wouldn't. Luckily, Uncle Pierce didn't nap when we came back, otherwise there would be no time to ask about your childhood properly." Wyatt frowned, pouting at Serena. Serena originally had no expression, but at this moment, she gave Wyatt a faint smile. "Uncle Pierce is busy with work all day. It's not easy for him to find time to come. He is a guest after all. You have to let the guest rest." Liam stood frozen as if rooted to the spot, so he had become a guest. "Ah, little Quincy, I am indeed a bit tired from work. Since dinner is still early, I really do want to rest a bit." Liam used all his strength to force a smile, but his hands hanging by his sides had quietly moved behind him, clenched tightly into fists. Wyatt made himself at home, patting Liam on the shoulder, smiling brightly as he said, "All right, Uncle Pierce, sleep well then. Tonight I'll take you out for fun. Someone is working all day long. Really, people have to call her just to get her to eat. Tonight we must drag her out for a good walk." Still, thanks to me, Serena isn't working that hard. Has Serena become successful in her career now? Right, she is indeed different from that little girl back then. She looks a bit more like a career woman. Let's go, they've already arrived. Serena walked over from the direction of the study, not pausing at Liam's door. "Oh, coming." Liam didn't have time to think much and quickly followed behind them. These two people in front of him looked truly compatible. They lived in the same world, while Liam, from beginning to end, was not in the same world as Serena. Going downstairs, seeing Mr. and Mrs. Sterling already sitting there waiting, Liam quickly smiled at them and apologized immediately. "Sorry, I was too tired and accidentally overslept." Mr. and Mrs. Sterling didn't mind and let Liam sit down directly. "Liam, I remember you haven't been to my house for dinner for a long time. What are you being polite for?" Liam still used the excuse of being busy with work to gloss over it. Soon, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling started chasing Serena with questions about Wyatt. Wyatt looked at the pile of questions thrown at Serena's face, looking embarrassed and at a loss. He immediately took Serena's place to answer these questions about himself. Throughout the process, Serena never smiled and didn't answer questions. "Serena and I met through a mutual friend. We found we got along well, so we got together. Mrs. Sterling noticed Serena's change and didn't deliberately chase Serena with these questions. Instead, Mr. Sterling noticed and still asked Serena, "How does it feel to be with little Quincy?" Mr. Sterling was still the same as before, strict and unsmiling. But the Serena he thought he knew was still that ignorant Serena. Even staying outside for only 5 months was enough to make Serena different from before. After all, how could they know how Serena spent her time abroad? "Are we not eating?" Serena said coldly. Her volume wasn't loud, but the effect was good. Silence fell immediately. Wyatt looked at Serena's visibly colder face and said, Let's not ask about this anymore. As they say, no talking while eating or sleeping." Mr. Sterling was also shocked to see such a cold Serena. It was as if the ignorant Serena from before was from a long time ago. Mrs. Sterling exchanged a glance with Mr. Sterling. Then Mrs. Sterling said to Serena, "Just one last question. Did you fulfill the promise you made to Mom before?" Serena took a sip of the orange juice in front of her, her eyes scanning from left to right, finally speaking lightly. "I don't remember. It wasn't anything important. Why remember such things?" Everyone was shocked, including Liam. Or rather, the most shocked was Liam. Immediately after, no one spoke at the dinner table. When it ended, Liam really couldn't stand it and planned to leave. But Mr. Sterling wanted to keep Liam for a few drinks. After all, not seeing each other for so long, 5 months felt very long, and the two had become estranged. Liam agreed. Mrs. Sterling sat there with Serena, looking at this strange yet familiar daughter, not knowing what to say. It was Wyatt who took the initiative to talk to Mrs. Sterling. "Auntie, you look really young." Mrs. Sterling smiled, the expression on her face not very natural. Knowing Wyatt was breaking the awkward situation, she went along with his words. "Such a sweet mouth. Hey, little Quincy, what major did you study abroad? I didn't hear Serena mention your affairs before." It was just too sudden. Mrs. Sterling sat next to Wyatt, asking him, "Me, I studied business management." As for the latter question, Wyatt didn't even know how to answer. After all, this was Serena's idea. He couldn't say that him being with Serena was an absurd transaction, could he? Wyatt shook his head and laughed. "It was me who told Serena not to tell you. After all, my family background isn't very good, so I thought let Serena hold off on mentioning it." "Is that so? We wouldn't mind these things." "Didn't Serena tell you?" Wyatt smiled. "She did, but I mind these things quite a bit myself." The words spoken between Serena and her parents could be counted on one hand. Seeing Serena's expression looked much better than at the dinner table. Mrs. Sterling tried asking Serena, "How have you been abroad these past few months?" Only then did she shift her gaze to Mrs. Sterling and Wyatt. Facing Serena, whom she hadn't seen for 5 months, who had suddenly changed from that clingy little princess into this cold woman, Mrs. Sterling still felt it was very strange and very distressing. She wondered if the coercion 5 months ago ultimately led to the current Serena. After listening, Serena simply replied lightly, "It was okay." Then there was no follow-up. Mrs. Sterling looked at Serena, her expectant eyes beginning to look desolate. It was Wyatt who said, "While abroad, Serena has been seriously studying business matters. Now she can stand on her own." Hearing this, Mrs. Sterling should have been happy, but she couldn't be happy no matter what. The topic ended just like that. Mrs. Sterling wanted Serena to stay and live at home, but Serena refused. Just as Liam was about to leave, Wyatt suggested going together since it was on the way. Mrs. Sterling watched Serena leave at the door and couldn't help saying to Mr. Sterling beside her, "Serena has changed. She's become reticent and treats us coldly too." Mr. Sterling also saw Serena's extremely indifferent attitude towards them and began to wonder if he had been too harsh on Serena 5 months ago, resulting in Serena not wanting to go home or say a few more words now. But the current Mr. Sterling had no way to lecture Serena like before because the current Serena seemed much more distant from him. If it continued like that, they were afraid they would lose their daughter, Serena. Mr. Sterling seemed to have guessed the reason. Is it that matter from 5 months ago that Serena still can't let go of? Mrs. Sterling felt aggrieved now, hitting Mr. Sterling several times. "I told you to go easy. Did you forget Serena is still a child? Now look, Serena isn't willing to open up to us anymore. The previous Serena looked like a child, and you thought her liking Liam was nonsense. But what about now, Mr. Sterling?" Mrs. Sterling made Mr. Sterling face her and asked a question. If Serena still likes Liam even now, what do you plan to do?" Mr. Sterling was speechless for a moment, unable to give a quick answer. Just as Mrs. Sterling said, before he thought she was still young and couldn't distinguish between love and affection. But now Serena wouldn't even live at home because of this matter. If Serena liked Liam again, could he beat her again? That was something that would never happen again. But his daughter falling in love with his friend? Mr. Sterling was also very troubled. After all, this generation gap was really messed up. But between hierarchy and his daughter's happiness, which was more important? The air pressure in the car was extremely low. Serena was driving herself now, and Wyatt naturally sat in the passenger seat. Liam sat alone in the back seat without speaking. Wyatt wanted to say something. "I'll drop you off first," Serena interrupted Wyatt coldly. After Wyatt got out of the car, Serena delayed starting the engine. Liam looked at Serena in the driver's seat, not knowing whether he should speak. Liam didn't know, when he had become so passive, in front of Serena. "How much did you drink?" Serena, who had been cold all day, suddenly asked him through the rearview mirror. "I didn't drink, just chatted a bit." Liam froze for a moment and quickly replied. Serena got out of the car, went to the back seat, and opened the door. "Go drive." "Oh, Liam obediently did as told, getting out and moving to the driver's seat. The car drove smoothly on the road. It was so quiet inside that Liam could hear his own heartbeat. "Serena, you didn't eat much just now. Are you hungry?" Liam held the steering wheel with both hands and asked. Serena looked coldly at the back of the person in front and said, "Pull over." Liam didn't ask further and did as told. After the car stopped completely, Serena didn't speak, so Liam had to wait for her next move. Silence, like the cold wind of this winter night, made Liam feel it was hard even to breathe. "Liam, what are you pretending for?" Serena suddenly spoke. Just one sentence sentenced Liam to death. Liam remained silent, just silently starting the car, trying to stay calm and drive back to the villa. Serena's question, like a feather sinking into water, received no response. After returning to the villa, Serena's face looked terrible. The housekeeper didn't dare step forward to speak. Only Liam followed Serena all the way into the villa. Serena didn't refuse Liam following her. "Serena, Serena." Serena Sterling, Liam stood in place, face full of worry, hands clenched tight, finally shouting out Serena's name loud and clear. In the second-floor corridor, Serena stopped. Liam stood 2 or 3 meters behind her. That's Serena Sterling. She felt it wasn't shouted by the Liam behind her, but by the Liam in her heart. "I'm sorry." Liam had used almost all his strength to shout Serena's name just now. Now he felt he could barely stand. Perhaps this was the courage Liam had saved for 5 months just to say this one sentence. Liam felt much better in his chest after saying it. Serena turned around, looking at him expressionlessly, her eyes under the clear moonlight staring straight at Liam. Sorry for what? Sorry for these 5 months? Or sorry for the person in front of him? Liam took a deep breath, lowered his head, and didn't speak further. Serena's anger flared instantly. She stepped forward, grabbed the collar of Liam's suit jacket, and forcibly pulled his face close to hers. Liam didn't expect Serena to come over suddenly, nor did he expect Serena to have changed so much in these 5 months. When their eyes met, Serena's eyes were full of anger, while Liam's eyes only held shock and forbearance. "Liam, what are you sorry for? Do you think acting like this will make me pity you?" Since coming back this morning, Liam had been acting, pretending. Where did the decisive, indifferent Uncle Pierce go? Did he think pretending to be pitiful could wipe away the harm he caused her and the sin of trampling on her feelings? Liam's eyes revealed concern and regret. "Serena, you and Wyatt?" Serena breathed rapidly, her breath hitting Liam. Liam couldn't even say a complete sentence. "What? Can't you see clearly enough?" Hearing Liam's incomplete sentence, Serena suddenly wanted to laugh a little. "Wyatt is my boyfriend now. Weren't you the one who most wanted me to find a boyfriend? Now I found one, are you still not satisfied?" Serena slowly released his collar and touched his face instead. "Do you find it incredible? I think you are quite incredible too." Liam pressed his lips together and shook his head. "No, I didn't want you to find a boyfriend, I was..." "Enough." Serena pushed him, as if refusing to touch him for a second longer. "You don't need to tell me the reason now. I don't want to waste time listening to gossip." After speaking, Serena turned and walked quickly into the study, slamming the door shut heavily. "Waste time on gossip." Liam leaned against the wall, murmuring the phrase Serena just used. So, Serena resented him so much, resented him to the point where she wasn't even willing to listen to his explanation. So, even if Serena returned to the country, he still couldn't find warmth. Did he have no home anymore? Liam felt light-headed, wanting to go downstairs to leave, but suddenly couldn't stand and fell heavily to the ground. "Serena," during this time, I suddenly understood. Waves of cramping pain came from his stomach. Liam hadn't eaten anything at the banquet just now. The stomach trouble he developed from obsessing over work and starving himself repeatedly accompanied him for a long time, and now it began to torment him again. Liam clutched his stomach, slowly stood up, looked at the night outside the window, and suddenly thought of something. He didn't eat, and Serena didn't eat either. Liam knew how uncomfortable stomach pain was, so Serena couldn't get stomach trouble too. Liam went downstairs and borrowed the kitchen from the nanny. Only then did he realize he only knew how to cook noodles. 20 minutes later, 2 bowls of egg noodles were ready. The burnt aroma of fried eggs, paired with fresh lettuce tips, with milky white noodles underneath the color was very tempting. Liam found a small tray, put 1 bowl of noodles on it, then went upstairs to the study door and knocked lightly a few times. "Enter," Liam walked in. Serena sat at the desk checking something. Liam carefully placed the noodles on the coffee table in the study. "Serena, you didn't eat anything tonight. I cooked noodles. Eat a little." Liam tried to keep his voice calm, hiding his hands behind his back, fingers tangled together like a child admitting a mistake. Serena didn't look up, nor did she respond to Liam. Liam pressed his lips together, stepped forward, and stood in front of her desk. "The noodles will get soggy in a while," Liam reminded carefully again. "Let the nanny do these things." "There's no need for Uncle Pierce to do it himself," Serena said without expression. Liam unconsciously took a step back. Before, Liam always asked Serena to call him Uncle Pierce to maintain distance, making Serena understand the relationship between them. Now it had become a mockery. He actually needed Serena to remind him of the relationship between them. "I didn't know your parents discovered you liked me and did those things to you, so proposing to Fiona was only to get out." Serena interrupted Liam coldly. "Sir, Liam, I don't want to hear any explanation from you, and I have never cared who you propose to or when you get married. I let you stand here only because you are my father's good friend and had a good relationship with him when he was young. That's all. As for us, there's nothing else to say." Liam froze in place as if petrified. Seeing he hadn't moved for a long time, Serena stood up, walked to the coffee table, and glanced at the bowl of egg noodles. The egg was golden, the noodles milky white, the vegetables emerald green. For a moment, a trace of surprise flashed in Serena's eyes, but only for a moment. She turned her head and saw the small red spots on Liam's hand from being burned by oil splatter while frying the egg. "I didn't realize that in the short time I've been abroad, Uncle's noodles look much better." Liam didn't reply. "However, I'm sorry, I don't like noodles anymore." Liam suddenly looked up and turned around. "You clearly. Take it away." After speaking, Serena walked out of the study without looking back. When she was a child, because her parents weren't home and the nanny happened not to come due to maternity leave, teenage Serena couldn't cook and could only look pitifully at Liam. Helpless, Liam made a bowl of noodles. Serena looked at the bowl of noodles topped with a black and yellow fried egg, then looked at Liam standing aside looking complacent, and gave a thumbs up with conscience. "Uncle Liam, you're awesome. This noodles smells wonderfully burnt." Knowing the noodles he made looked terrible, Liam looked guiltily at the bowl, wondering if he should remake it. But Serena insisted on tasting it, so Liam sat there waiting for the evaluation. Serena stopped looking at the noodles and suddenly noticed the small red spots on the back of Liam's hand. "Uncle, did you burn your hand?" Serena pulled Liam's hand and asked with a frown. Liam turned his hand over to glance at it, smiled, and said, "You finish this whole bowl of noodles, then blow on it for me." It was just a joke to tease a child. Serena looked at Liam, then buried her head in the bowl and took a fierce bite of the burnt fried egg. Then she looked up at Liam beside her and said, "I, Serena Sterling, announce that in this life, my favorite thing to eat is Uncle's fried egg noodles." Liam watched Serena slurp the noodles in big mouthfuls and couldn't help laughing out loud. Liam sat alone at the dining table, looking at the 2 bowls of fried egg noodles in front of him, his eyes red. "Mr. Pierce, the noodles are getting soggy." The nanny walked over at some point, looked at the noodles, and reminded him. Liam looked up. "Auntie, want a midnight snack? The noodles I cooked are actually quite tasty." The nanny smiled. "All right, Mr. Pierce, I'll eat with you." The two sat at the dining table eating noodles together. After the first bite, the nanny couldn't help but exclaim, "Mr. Pierce, the noodles you cooked are really delicious. How did you make them? Teach me." Delicious, but she said she doesn't like noodles anymore. After that, Liam left. Hearing no movement, Serena finally walked out. Seeing the nanny cleaning up the dishes, Serena walked over, her gaze lingering on the noodle soup. Yes, this time the noodles looked much better than the fried egg noodles from that year. The phone ringing pulled Serena's thoughts back. It was Wyatt. "By the way, what's the situation on your end? Did you detect anything fishy?" Serena recalled Liam apologizing to her just now and remembered Liam's attitude towards her was completely different from 5 months ago. She revealed a relatively satisfied smile. "A little." Serena insisted on letting Liam step into the trap she set step by step to tell Liam she wasn't someone to be messed with, and Fiona. It was said that Fiona was the one who insisted on intervening between them. Originally, Serena thought that what she did was tacitly approved by Liam. Unexpectedly, upon investigation, it turned out to be Fiona acting on her own initiative. Only you could come up with such a method. Giving the account to someone else to log in, posting strictly every month. It was deliberate, too deliberate. Serena was silent for a while. It had to be blatant. Because of this matter, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling didn't continue asking about her relationship with Wyatt. They even said the two of them were going to travel together. They found an excuse of needing someone to watch the house to let Serena move back in, and instructed Liam to take good care of Serena. So they naturally lived under the same roof. They also told Liam not to let Wyatt touch her before marriage. Liam didn't know what Mr. and Mrs. Sterling meant, but seeing Serena agreed, he also agreed. Regarding Serena going to the banquet, Liam didn't know a thing. Before, because he proposed to Fiona, pushing her away with his own hands, he seemed to have lost the qualification to care about her. So on the night Serena went out, Liam still had the nanny prepare a table of food as usual. Waiting for Serena to come home for dinner, the hands of the clock went around a full circle, stopping at 12 o'clock with a not too loud sound. But in such a silent room, it was clearly audible. Seeing Serena hadn't returned home yet, Liam began to worry. He dialed Serena's number. It didn't connect. Liam also began to panic, but Serena's phone couldn't get through, and he didn't know where Serena went. Liam didn't know Wyatt's contact information at all. Liam could only sit here and worry anxiously. Serena utilized the fact that Fiona currently hated her to use Fiona to test whether Liam really cared about her. After all, Fiona had been given the cold shoulder by Liam for 5 months, and the wedding was even cancelled. Liam also told her to forget about the proposal. Although she wasn't very confident she could come out unscathed this time, in short, it was worth it. Without taking risks, how could she know the result? Serena made preparations and hoped Fiona's performance wouldn't disappoint her too much, and hoped Liam's performance wouldn't let Serena waste this show. Serena took the card and followed the path to the private room. The setup was Fiona calling her, saying Liam was drunk in the private room and insisted Serena come to pick him up. Unlike the biting cold outside, the private room inside this bar was as warm as spring. But the full air conditioning and heating couldn't warm Serena up at this moment. On the contrary, she now felt a biting chill like falling into an ice cellar. A man with a broad build sat in a single sofa with his legs crossed. He lowered his eyes to scan Serena and let out a sneer from his throat. This is the little sister CEO Pierce keeps by his side to protect. Yes, boss. The play had to go on to be realistic. Where is Liam? She somewhat obsessively scanned the private room, which could be seen in a glance, but still didn't see that familiar tall figure. Where is Liam? Serena asked again, her voice so cold it seemed it could spit ice. The man curled one corner of his lips maliciously, extremely greasy and sickening. Don't be anxious. Drink this glass first, and I'll tell you. Serena looked at the goblet containing wine-red liquid in front of her, gritting her teeth secretly. Because she saw a white pill at the bottom of the goblet still bubbling with tiny bubbles, dropped into the glass without concealment. What's wrong? The man crossed his legs and looked at Serena leisurely. Dare not drink. It seems you don't care about CEO Pierce that much. Serena stiffened. She didn't know what was in this glass of wine, nor did she dare to know. But the only thing she dared to be sure of was that if it were the previous Liam. If she drank this spiked wine today, Liam would definitely fly into a rage knowing about it. Or more bluntly, Liam might probably kill this man directly. But drinking it now didn't guarantee she wouldn't fall into danger. She could accept some physical injuries, but Serena felt she wouldn't accept anything else. So Serena dared not touch it, but she was afraid this man would force her to drink this wine. She gritted her teeth secretly, her eyes bloodshot. When she spoke again, her voice was hoarse. Do I have any other options? Perhaps Serena's pretense of calm pleased the man. He rarely showed mercy. Of course, to beautiful women I always show mercy. Saying that, he snapped his fingers. The attendant at the side quickly poured out the wine originally handed to Serena, then took out another bottle from the inner room. Serena paused, not knowing what he was going to do. Boss Ross took down quite a few bottles of fine wine from the shelf behind him and lined them up on the table, giving an ambiguous chuckle at Serena. Then, Fiona took the corkscrew, seeming not to care about the value of the bottles at all, opening them one by one. The sound of corks being pulled out echoed constantly in the quiet private room, one after another. Serena, however, remained standing in place, never lowering her head. These wines were picked up by Boss Ross and poured into the originally empty large decanter one after another. Serena didn't know what wines they were, but just standing there, she could smell a strong aroma of alcohol. She didn't know how many bottles were poured, but the empty large vessel was finally almost overflowing. Serena looked at the orange-brown liquid mixed with various alcohols inside. Just looking at it, she felt waves of nausea. The man, however, seemed very satisfied with the wine he mixed. You know, the most expensive bottle in here implies you might never get to drink it in your life. Today, I satisfy you. If you drink all of this clean, I will not only hand CEO Pierce over to you, but also allow you to leave freely. Serena looked up sharply. Is everything you said true? The man seemed to hear a huge joke. Why would I lie to you? But if you can't finish drinking or pass out halfway, then I won't be responsible. Serena's tongue pressed against the roof of her mouth. As soon as the man's voice fell, she unhesitatingly raised the decanter filled with alcohol, tilted her head back, and started drinking. The spicy alcohol flowed down her esophagus, burning her stomach with fiery pain. Now she couldn't distinguish what wine it was, how expensive, or whether it tasted good. Serena's mind was full of drinking it all quickly and taking Liam home. Although it was just a conspiracy, Serena seemed to have lost sensation, holding the vessel and gulping endlessly. The brown wine flowed down her fair, delicate face and into the collar of her clothes. It was a bit cold. From beginning to end, the man stared explicitly at Serena's entirety, seeming to have planned what to do next long ago. Alcohol churned ceaselessly in Serena's stomach. Her arms were trembling. Putting the vessel on the table, she hunched over, retching endlessly. An unnatural flush had already appeared on her face. Clearly, she was drunk. But the man still didn't intend to let her go. What? Can't handle it already? There's still a large half left in the bottle. It's all famous, fine wine. It wouldn't be good to waste it. At this moment, Serena's vision was already clouded with a layer of mist. She couldn't see people clearly. The man sitting in the leather sofa seemed to have 3 double images swaying before her eyes. She shook her head vigorously, barely steadying her mind. I am fine, can. Give me a trash can? The man naturally knew she was going to vomit. Probably afraid Serena would vomit in the exquisite private room, he even mercifully waved his hand to let his subordinate pass over a plastic bucket. Serena took a deep breath. The strong smell of alcohol in this room mixed with the smoke the man smoked, and Fiona's cheap perfume caused her waves of physiological discomfort. A slight external stimulus could make her nauseous. Clinging to the rim of the bucket, she tried hard to retch, vomiting heaven and earth. Feeling her stomach slightly emptier, she swayed and reached for that bottle of wine again. But at this time, her wrist had no strength. Her stomach burned with pain, swaying double images overlapped before her eyes, and she had a splitting headache. Serena even felt she was going to die. Fiona at the door looked at all this with satisfaction. The man raised his hand and grabbed Serena's chin, like a poisonous snake flicking its tongue, making one's hair stand on end and shudder. What? Can't handle it? Didn't you want to see CEO Pierce? I'll teach you a simpler way, how about it? Boss Ross smiled meaningfully. Follow me from now on. Let me taste the treasure CEO Pierce has hidden for years. Don't worry, I know how to hurt people better than that old man Liam. If you yield to me, you can have whatever you want. Serena's reaction after getting drunk was extremely slow. She tried hard to keep herself awake and slapped the man's hand away. Don't touch me, the man frowned, the back of his hand red and swollen, stinging slightly. He spat at Serena. Fuck your mother, bitch. Dare to refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. He kicked Serena's fragile abdomen, kicking Serena to the ground. But Serena had already vomited a lot of things just now. She even vomited out stomach acid. Although she was still retching endlessly now, she couldn't vomit anything. Now Fiona outside the door slowly curled the corners of her mouth, smiling extremely brightly. She sent the photo of Boss Ross grabbing Serena's chin just now to Liam, pinched herself hard, and followed up with a slightly crying voice note. Liam, what should I do? That little sister named Serena Sterling attended the same social event as me today, and then left with someone to a private room. What do I do, Liam? Although she went involuntarily, nothing will happen, right? Liam replied very quickly, even directly calling Fiona. Address! One could even hear the anxiety and worry in Liam's tone. Fiona's heart skipped a beat. Liam cared about Serena far more than she imagined. In her original plan, Liam was Serena's uncle after all, and Serena had liked Liam. Seeing Serena go find another man, he would definitely be unable to bear it and thus feel disgusted. She imagined many scenes of Liam flying into a rage, but the only thing she didn't expect was that Liam would come directly to find Serena. Fiona bit her lower lip hard, the jealousy in her eyes almost drowning her whole being. Liam hung up the phone. The villa and the bar were actually not far apart, so he arrived quickly. At this moment, Liam was already standing at the entrance of the bar. He almost dashed into the bar, thinking through gritted teeth that if anything really happened to Serena here, then even if he went to jail, he would kill that man to his face. At the door of the private room, Liam saw Fiona. Fiona prepared to go up and talk to him, but was pushed away by Liam. Get lost, don't fucking get in the way. Fiona staggered from the push, hitting the wall behind her. Caught off guard, the sudden impact made her dizzy. She recovered and looked up again. Liam had already kicked open the door of the private room. The lock core was completely twisted, and at that time, Serena was being held down by 2 bodyguards, being forced alcohol by a man. The originally full bottle of wine was already more than half gone. Serena closed her eyes tightly, refusing to reveal a trace of weakness, choked by the strong alcohol until she almost couldn't breathe. Her face was flushed red. Get out! Liam kicked the man holding the wine bottle away. The man was defenseless, suddenly kicked away, and fell to the ground with the wine bottle in his hand. The glass wine bottle was very fragile and shattered into pieces on the spot. When the man fell, he didn't stabilize his body, and some glass fragments even pierced into his skin. The soft carpet on the floor was stained with blood. The hotel manager arrived late at this time. He didn't know this man, but was very familiar with Liam. After all, they were all big figures with faces in the capital city. How could he not be familiar? Seeing this tragic state in the private room, he could roughly guess what happened. In this situation, between this man and Liam, one must be offended. Such a simple multiple-choice question required no thought. So the manager waved his hand and told 2 security guards to guard the elevator and the private room door on this floor, ordering, "Guard this place well. Don't let anyone come in to disturb CEO Pierce's mood." After speaking, he hurriedly ran to the private rooms adjacent to this one to arrange for the guests inside to change rooms, to prevent them from being disturbed by Liam. Here, the man was frightened by a burst of sharp pain. Just as he was about to sit up, he was stepped on by Liam again. The glass shards immediately pierced deeper. The man screamed wildly, "Liam Pierce, do you fucking think this is a place outside the law? Aren't you afraid I'll call the police and have you arrested for doing this?" Liam sneered. "If you have the ability, go ahead and report it. See whether it's you or me who ends up in jail." The man's face instantly lost all color. He tremblingly pointed his finger at Fiona, who had been sitting in the corner from the beginning without any sense of existence. Trying hard to absolve himself, trying to shift all the blame onto others. "No, CEO Pierce, this is all a misunderstanding. I really didn't know she was your person. If I knew she was your person, even if I borrowed 800 guts, I wouldn't dare touch her. It was all this bitch. She insisted this person was someone you didn't want and said she hindered you. That's why I acted. The original intention was still for your sake, wasn't it?" Liam looked up and only then noticed Fiona huddled in the corner. "I didn't even know you had this kind of capability." Fiona shuddered unexpectedly. She knelt directly on the ground with a thud, trembling all over. She shook her head weakly, denying vehemently, No, it wasn't me, it was all him. Yes, all of this was actually his idea, Liam. You know me, how could I dare to do this? He just wants to frame me." Those lackeys standing at the door, staring closely at the movement in the private room, cursed secretly that these people exposed the matter. Seeing the situation was bad, they turned and ran. No one was force-feeding Serena alcohol anymore. Serena recovered for a moment, then suddenly couldn't help hugging that plastic bucket from just now, vomiting violently. The commotion caused by this matter wasn't small. Only then did Liam come back to his senses and look at Serena, who was almost collapsing. Liam rushed over immediately to ask how Serena was doing. Serena's originally unfocused expression slowly gained focus. She smelled the faint scent of men's perfume on Liam again. At this moment, this smell made her feel more at ease than at any other moment. Sure enough, her status in Liam's heart was still quite high. At least he wouldn't believe Fiona's words. Thinking about it, the result of this sacrifice didn't seem so terrible. Being able to see that Liam was worried about her was actually enough. She slowly came to her senses, choking up instantly. "Liam, I want to go home. Go home." Liam immediately thought of what Serena had said before her home was his home. "Okay, go home." Serena couldn't say any more words, she just wanted to vomit. Her stomach was overturned and unbearable. However, the sacrifice this time was indeed a bit big. Serena hadn't drunk so much wine combined since childhood, not to mention it was mixed like this. Although she planned all this, drinking it down, Serena had a splitting headache. Her stomach felt tearing pain in waves. Her whole body was very sore and weak, like a pile of mud. Serena was tortured to break down by this state, but her subconscious action was still to clumsily raise her hand to touch Liam. Seeing Serena wanted to touch him, Liam immediately took the initiative to hold Serena's hand. But after a while, Liam saw that man trying to take the opportunity to escape. Liam whispered in Serena's ear, "Wait for me a moment." Immediately after, Liam blocked that person's path and choked that person's throat directly. The man's skin was a bit dark, making Liam's fingertips, pale from exertion, look even whiter. Because Liam exerted too much force, it hurt so much that the man kept frowning. Seeing the man's painful appearance, and seeing Serena clutching her stomach over there, Liam forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and held back from continuing to attack this wretched man. Instead, he raised his hand and threw the man to the ground. "I will call someone else to take good care of you. Don't think about continuing to stay in the capital city." After speaking, he left the man directly and walked towards Serena, who was in so much pain she was about to cry. Serena determined Liam's approaching trouser legs from her blurred vision. The moment she reached out, Liam grabbed her hand. After feeling that temperature, she held on tightly, refusing to let go. Liam asked, "Can you hold on a bit longer? I'll take you to the hospital." Serena couldn't hear Liam's words clearly at all, her ears were ringing constantly. But she could feel Liam carefully helping her up. Only because the movement was too large, she wanted to vomit again now. But now, truly nothing could come out. Serena felt if she vomited again, her stomach would come out. Seeing this, Liam didn't know if he should help Serena up, standing beside Serena at a loss. Serena sat kneeling on the ground, looking coldly at Liam, worrying about her for a long time. Finally, she couldn't hold it back, clutching her stomach and vomiting a large mouthful of blood. The pungent smell of blood mixed with the heavy smell of alcohol immediately filled this not-so-large private room, stinging the nose and eyes. Liam looked at Serena, who was about to fall, his pupils constricting violently. Why did the patient drink so much alcohol? Her stomach and intestines were already bad, and stimulated by such strong alcohol, now it's acute gastric hemorrhage. When the doctor said this, he sighed for a long time and waved his hand at Liam, who was worried about Serena in front of him. Although the danger period has passed, she still needs observation. Don't let the patient touch raw, cold, or irritating things in the future. Never. Liam lowered his face, then asked, "Doctor, is there anything else to pay attention to? Whatever it is, just tell me." The doctor sighed helplessly again. Liam waited for a moment longer, confirming he had nothing more to say, then entered the ward with one hand in his pocket. This was the first time Liam saw Serena become like this. He had seen the lively and cute Serena, and also the cold and indifferent Serena, but seeing Serena like this was the first time. In the hospital room, Serena lay on the bed, her face so pale she seemed to merge with the snow-white sheets. Her ashen lips were dry and cracked, her brows knitted tight in pain. Liam took a step forward, lowered his head, and reached out his hand. There were still traces of dried blood at the corner of Serena's mouth. Liam had asked the doctor, who said he could use a cotton swab dipped in water to moisten Serena's lips. He looked down at the bedside table, but it was empty. Let alone cotton swabs, there wasn't even a thermos of hot water. At that moment, Liam suddenly began to tremble. Yes, he was afraid. After all, this was the first time he felt like Serena was going to leave him forever. Liam immediately went out to get water and cotton swabs, carefully moistening Serena's lips. Watching her like this, Serena possessed a fragile, morbid beauty. Liam's phone rang. Afraid the noise would disturb Serena, he immediately took the phone and walked out of the ward. He answered the call. "How is the matter being handled?" The person on the other end replied quickly. They cracked under pressure. They confessed that it was Fiona Fletcher's idea. Liam had thought Fiona only resented him for the fake marriage proposal, but he never imagined she would direct that hatred onto Serena. If he had arrived even a moment later, something terrible might have truly happened to Serena. The consequences were unimaginable. Fiona was effectively pushing Serena toward death. Just then, Wyatt arrived from home. He intended to rush in to check on Serena's condition, but Liam stopped him. Liam put down his phone, his face full of concern. "Renee needs to rest right now. I have some things to ask you." Wyatt stopped outside the door and sat with Liam in the hospital corridor. After a moment, Liam asked, "Serena was socializing at a bar?" Wyatt looked at Liam, clearly surprised by the question. "Socializing? Wasn't it you who got drunk and asked Renee to come pick you up?" "I was drunk." Liam frowned, but he roughly understood the origin of this incident. Wyatt played along with the script they had prepared beforehand and continued. "Yeah, Renee received a call from some woman named Fiona or something. Originally, Renee said she didn't want to go, but I saw she looked really worried, so I told her to follow her heart. I intended to go with her to find you, but I got delayed by something and couldn't make it. I didn't expect something like this to happen. Where is that Fiona woman? I need to teach her a lesson." Liam was silent for a while before saying to Wyatt, "It's fine. I've already had people detain Fiona temporarily." Wyatt's face suddenly darkened. "I heard from Renee that this Fiona is your fiancé." Liam didn't know how to answer. If he said yes, the animosity between him and Serena would deepen. If he said no, well, if Serena. True, Serena already had someone she liked. Why would she have anything to do with him again just because Fiona wasn't his fiancé? "She's not my fiancé. It's a long story, hard to explain in a few words." Only then did Wyatt withdraw his scrutinizing gaze. "Then there's no problem, as long as you weren't in cahoots with that Fiona woman. Otherwise, her punishment would be too light. How is Renee doing now?" Liam seemed lost in thought but quickly reacted. "Renee is out of danger. She just needs a good sleep." However, Liam looked at Wyatt, and after weighing his words repeatedly, he finally asked the question, "You and Renee, to what stage have you developed?" Wyatt was clearly a bit surprised that Liam asked this, but it was also within his expectations. He didn't need to lie to Liam at this moment, but he couldn't be too truthful either. "Renee and we've been together for almost a year now. I'm usually the active type, so back then, it was mostly me talking to her. Renee usually doesn't take the initiative to speak. Although I don't know the reason, I respect her. Last time, I didn't get a chance to ask about her childhood. Mr. Pierce, would you be willing to talk about it now?" Liam looked at Wyatt for a while, then lowered his eyes. In fact, before meeting Serena, he wasn't someone who knew how to take care of others either. When Serena was only 9 years old, he was only 21. That was the first time Liam met Serena. It was evening, the skylight was dimming, and the setting sun was slowly sinking into the horizon, clearly visible from the suburban villa. At that time, Robert Sterling had met Liam through work. Because Liam and he got along well, they quickly started chatting. They soon became good friends. Robert invited Liam home to hang out. At that time, Serena was lying on the windowsill, wearing a pink long dress that every little princess would wear in childhood, her almond eyes staring brightly out the window. Because the family requirements were strict, her life was basically classes upon classes. After school, there was tutoring, or piano practice. Basically, there was rarely such leisure time to hardly notice the sunset. As a 9-year-old girl, Serena didn't even know why she had to work so hard. Every time she went to school and heard her peers playing this and that, Serena's face was full of curiosity. Robert and Mary were always busy with work. Although they would come back to eat dinner together at night, Serena didn't feel it was that happy or simple. Instead, she felt a bit tired. Before this, her parents told Serena that they both had to go on a business trip for a few days. So, during these days, there might only be the nanny and the housekeeper at home. But because they were worried, they asked an uncle to come to the house to keep her company, who could also tutor her homework. But they didn't tell her who it was. She only knew that tonight, a brother 12 years older than her would be taking care of her for this period. Liam was just in college, but because he had basically mastered the university curriculum in his freshman year, he was scouted by Robert, who planned to ask him to intern at his company. After the internship, he could develop his own career. So Liam had free time to help take care of Serena. But for 21-year-old Liam, children were actually a headache. Due to his family background, Liam had become independent very early to make his own way. Compared to the nagging and blaming of family members, Liam was more accustomed to detaching from everything and controlling himself. As soon as they entered the door, the living room was empty. Hearing Robert's voice, Uncle Jones stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Mr. Sterling, the young miss is waiting in the bedroom." Robert nodded slightly, then led Liam into the master bedroom on the first floor. They saw Serena kneeling in front of the window, staring blankly at the setting sun that was about to disappear. However, Robert's intention was clearly for Liam to introduce himself to Serena. After all, the two didn't look that different in age. Liam was only 21. Calling him uncle actually made him sound old, but the generational hierarchy couldn't be messed up. Robert told Liam to get to know her, then walked away, saying he was going to prepare some fruit for them. Liam was left standing alone at the door. He hadn't had contact with children, let alone a little girl. Liam knocked on the doorframe and raised an eyebrow. "Hello, are you little sister Serena Sterling?" Hearing the sound, Serena jumped directly off the stool and looked back at Liam. Facing this handsome brother, Serena gave Liam a welcoming look. "Hello, I'm Serena Sterling. Who are you? Are you the brother my dad mentioned?" A flash of obscure meaning passed through Liam's eyes. He smiled and said, "Yes, I'm Liam Pierce." Serena nodded, but thinking about having to spend many days with this person, she didn't look very happy. After all, she didn't look at the sun anymore, just sat on the stool, looking down at the floor. Liam's gaze remained on Serena, lingering for a long time. Serena definitely noticed the intense gaze falling on her. She turned her head in confusion and scrutinized Liam carefully several times. Rich, powerful, ambitious. That was the summary of Liam. After a long silence in the room, Serena suddenly looked up and said, Do you know how to teach me homework? You don't look much older than me." Liam smiled. Knowledge reserves were what demonstrated a person's ability. Older age didn't necessarily mean they knew more than young people. It just proved the person had a longer resume. Then, how do you know I'm not better than your teachers? Children's judgment methods are very simple. If a person's ability is better than a teacher's, it surely means that person must be able to become a teacher or a powerful cram school tutor, rather than coming to teach a child. Although Serena thought this in her heart, she didn't say anything on the surface and didn't answer. After all, children are shy with strangers. Facing a strange man she had just met, she wasn't that enthusiastic or cheerful. It was the first time Liam felt he wanted to contact a child. Actually, Liam rarely made friends easily, nor did he develop a unilateral interest in someone. But this child seemed different. Liam smiled gently and called out to Serena, "Little sister, I have to teach you homework for the next few days. Where do I sleep?" Serena also had the air of a host, so she led him directly out of the master bedroom door to a guest bedroom on the second floor. "Uncle, you'll live here from now on. Dad should have asked someone to prepare the things. If it's not enough, you can ask Uncle Jones to prepare them. By the way, Uncle, have you eaten dinner?" Serena pushed open the guest bedroom door, signaling Liam to go in and look. Liam didn't answer first. Instead, he asked Serena directly, "Has little sister eaten dinner?" "Not yet, but I'm not hungry right now. I guess I'll eat later." But Liam didn't think so. Even if she wasn't hungry, it was time to eat. "Even if you're not hungry, you have to eat dinner. What do you want to eat?" Serena thought for a moment. Robert and Mary were leaving tonight. Preparing food now required telling the housekeeper and nanny herself. "Pork and preserved egg congee, is that okay? Then Uncle, have you eaten? Do you want to join me? You looked very tired when you came in just now." Children need time to adapt to strangers, but they have an inexplicable affinity for good-looking people. Serena was purely acting on a child's nature, and naturally, she was the same towards Liam. Liam was rarely cared for by others. Hearing this, he was stunned, and a warm current surged in his heart. This kid, if he raised her as a younger sister, it would actually be quite nice. They say little girls are thoughtful. Before, Liam felt little girls were just little princesses. Looking at her now, it seemed there was some truth to it. Although she was a child, she knew how to care for people. She was smarter than those spoiled kids, and she looked cute. Those eyes were watery and incredibly endearing when looking at people. Liam instructed Uncle Jones to have the kitchen make some pork and preserved egg congee, while he chatted with Serena in the room about some childish topics. "Your name is Liam Pierce, right? Can I call you brother? But Dad said to call you uncle. Are you 12 years older than me?" "Yes, it's better to call me uncle." Although Liam preferred the title brother, but in terms of seniority, it was only reasonable to call him uncle. "Whatever works, I don't mind. But just call me whatever your dad told you to. Then what should I call you? It feels not good to call you by your full name." Liam was pondering this issue. Children generally think adults are angry when they call them by their full names. Liam was afraid Serena might misunderstand sometimes. After all, his tone wouldn't always be that kind, especially when he was busy working. "It doesn't matter, uncle can call me whatever you want. The conditions for children to become familiar with others are very low. As long as there is a basis of a sentence, it is easy to become good friends who talk about everything." Serena sounded happy when speaking, her voice lilting at the end. Liam nodded. "Okay, then I'll just call you Renaa. Do you want to change your clothes now, Renaa? Wearing this princess dress might be inconvenient when eating." "It's okay. I feel this dress looks very nice. Do I look especially pretty right now?" Serena stared at Liam, as if trying to find an answer on his face. "Especially pretty, but you need to change clothes, okay? You have pajamas, right? Just right to eat and rest early." Liam went downstairs with Serena to her room, took out a set of dark green pure cotton pajamas from the closet. Serena held them in her hand and finally agreed after considering it. Liam left the room to give her privacy. About 5 or 6 minutes later, the door opened. Serena poked her head out, saw Liam leaning against the wall looking at his phone, relaxed, and walked out openly. The dark green pajamas made her skin look even fairer. For a moment, Liam stared in a trance. "Uncle," Serena's voice pulled Liam back to reality. "Is the pork and preserved egg congee ready? I'm a little hungry now." Liam took Serena to the dining room and told her, "From now on, eat breakfast after washing up. If you get up late in the morning, you can ask the auntie to heat up the food for you. Because I have work during the day and night, I usually leave at 8:30. If you get up too late, you might not see me in the morning. But I will teach you homework in the afternoon." Serena blinked, indicating she understood. "Uncle, don't worry, I never sleep in. And also, roughly what time do you come back at night? That way I can wait for you." Liam walked into the kitchen himself and brought out 2 bowls of congee. He placed one in front of Serena and one opposite her. "My return time isn't very stable. If I'm not back by 8 o'clock, don't wait for me. Just get ready and rest." Serena picked up the snow-white porcelain spoon and stirred the congee. Steam rose, the rice grains contrasted sharply with the preserved egg and lean meat. One bite was full of savory flavor. After eating a few spoonfuls, Serena looked up and asked Liam, "You haven't answered my question yet. Have you had dinner? Why aren't you eating that bowl of congee?" "I'll eat after you finish, in case it's not enough." Elders are always afraid children won't have enough to eat. This mindset was understandable. Serena tilted her head. "No way, I have a small appetite. You eat more. You're so tall, you must need to eat a lot." Liam was 187 cm tall, a full half body taller than Serena. It wasn't about having a huge appetite, but facing Serena's frankness, Liam sighed. He was reminded that Serena was still a very young little girl. At night, Liam waited until Serena was fast asleep before going to wash up. Thinking about living in someone else's house now, plus having to take care of a little girl, Liam couldn't sleep. He had never been good at taking care of people, but he felt an inexplicable pity for children. This feeling naturally extended to Serena. Moreover, because Serena was strictly required by her parents to take classes and tutoring as soon as there was a holiday, she had no extra time to play. Now that he was in charge of Serena, he knew he wouldn't treat a little girl too strictly. After all, everyone only has one childhood. Liam didn't want Serena to have a childhood not worth remembering, just like his own. Recalling it brought only loneliness and pain. Liam thought that Serena should have her own time to do what she wanted to do, but regarding her studies, Liam wouldn't let Serena abandon them either. Combining work and rest was actually the best way to learn and play. Liam closed his laptop, tossing and turning in bed unable to sleep. Liam didn't know what he should do to achieve what he imagined. After all, this was the first time. Compared to Serena, Liam's childhood was much more miserable. Liam came out to work very early just because he didn't like the heavy atmosphere at home. Because his father played around outside, plus Liam's biological mother always quarreled with his father whenever they met. This led to an early separation. The current blended family was actually unfriendly to Liam everywhere. The new stepmother was arrogant because of the favor she received and gave birth to a son named Blake. Although not as excellent as Liam, Blake knew how to please his father. So the heir to the Pierce family business had always been set as Blake. Plus, because Liam was also handsome and took after his mother's looks, whenever his father saw him, he would always say he was reminded of that cheap woman. In fact, he just couldn't stand that Liam's mother had found a husband who was more excellent and handsome than him. Liam was excellent enough, his academic performance had always been top-notch, and he was very sensible. No fault could be found in him. Every time he went to find his mother, Liam still hoped to get a little maternal love from her. But seeing his mother had also found a new family and given birth to a child, Liam seemed to know he couldn't disturb her anymore. Afterward, he never went to find his mother for living expenses or tuition fees. Even so, Liam never tried to please his father. If his father was forced to do things he didn't like by others, he would get angry easily. So in this regard, Liam basically wouldn't go to this nominal father for anything. Previously, in front of his mother, his father had shown certain violent tendencies. If his father was unhappy, things like sticks and rulers would surely land on him one by one. And that stepmother was also always bad to him, disliking that he might divide her biological son's favor. Whenever his father wasn't home or on a business trip, she would give him leftovers to eat and pinch Liam's thighs with her fingernails. Under such high pressure and twisted family education, Liam's possessiveness became abnormally heavy. After coming out to work, Liam had only one unique goal. That was to rely solely on himself to transfer all of the Pierce family's legacy and property to himself alone. This was originally what he deserved alone, and what the three of them owed him. After thinking for a long time, Liam felt sleepy. His eyelids closed gently and he fell asleep. The next morning, Liam's biological clock still worked. When he finished eating and prepared to go out, Serena had just come out of the bedroom, her hair disheveled, rubbing her eyes while looking at Liam, who was ready to leave. "Morning, Rena. Wash your face and come down to eat quickly," Liam said. "Morning, Uncle. Are you going to work? I want to go back to sleep for a while." Serena clearly hadn't woken up yet. Her eyes couldn't quite open, and she looked groggy. Liam couldn't help laughing for a moment, then immediately thought, who was it that said yesterday she never slept in? The corners of Liam's mouth lifted. "I have to go to work. If you're sleepy, go back to the bedroom. I'm leaving. Bye-bye, see you in the afternoon." "See you in the afternoon?" Serena waved at Liam and ran back into the room. When she opened her eyes again to look at the watch, it was already half an hour later. Serena was still a bit unclear-headed. She slept very late last night, probably because her parents weren't home, so she slept a bit restlessly. Only thinking that there was an uncle at home accompanying her, did she barely fall asleep at 3 or 4 o'clock. Serena finished washing up, ran downstairs to the dining room. Uncle Jones heard the sound and walked over, saying softly, "Miss, breakfast is heated." Without parents managing her, Serena woke up whenever she wanted. Serena's mood was much better than usual. The reason she didn't sleep in before was that Mary always woke her up to eat, so Serena had to get up that early. Now that Robert and Mary weren't home and Liam indulged Serena so much, she naturally started sleeping in. Looking at Uncle Jones in front of her, Serena smiled and said thank you. Uncle Jones hadn't married in his life, so naturally, he had no children. He had long known Serena was a rather mischievous child, but because Robert and Mary were strict, he wasn't needed to manage things. Now that he was here alone, Uncle Jones's attention and concern naturally went entirely to Serena. The old man cheerfully brought the white porridge to Serena. "Miss, take whatever you want to eat. Just put the tableware back here after eating." Serena ate very fast. In a few minutes, she put down the bowl and chopsticks, ran to the living room, and pointed at the TV that was almost as big as a wall. "Uncle Jones, can I watch this?" Uncle Jones dug out the remote control from the cabinet. When Robert and Mary were home, they rarely let Serena watch TV. Now this item wouldn't become a decoration anymore. Serena took the remote control, mouthing thanks. Unexpectedly, having not watched TV for so long, she wasn't that familiar with using it. She randomly flipped to a soap opera and collapsed on the sofa to watch. Uncle Jones watched from the side, feeling an indescribable warmth in his heart. The family had always been cold and lacked human spirit. Except for work, it was study. Now that they were gone, leaving only Serena alone at home, it was happy after all. Because Liam was a bit busy over there, he arrived home about half an hour late. But it was the first time Liam experienced the feeling of someone waiting specifically for him at home. Something happened at the company today. Liam was exhausted. The moment he pushed the door open, Serena walked over and hugged Liam, smiling. "Uncle, why are you back so late? If you were any later, I would have fallen asleep looking at my homework." Liam was stunned by Serena. First, he gently pushed her away. "How can you sleep? Didn't I tell you, if I come back late, you can try to do the homework yourself?" Unexpectedly, Serena complained to Liam with a pitiful look. "That's because the difficulty of that homework is really too hard. I couldn't even put pen to paper." Hearing this, Liam became curious. How hard could the homework questions be that not a single question in a workbook could be attempted? Because Liam hadn't taught students homework himself, nor had anyone tutored him one-on-one. So he could only temporarily use the trick of school teachers on Serena. But Serena started getting sleepy while listening. Seeing this, Liam stopped immediately. Liam wasn't angry. Instead, he quickly realized that perhaps he was explaining the content of these questions too traditionally, making the child lose interest. Liam couldn't find a way to make the child learn unconsciously for a moment, so he took out his phone to search. Fortunately, the method found by phone search had some effect. Serena finally absorbed some questions. When night came, Liam had to go out to continue working. After all, Robert paid for his college tuition. Liam also felt he needed to work seriously to get some return, then slowly expand his ambitions in this field. When leaving, Liam told Serena, "Renee, if you are sleepy, go to bed early. You don't need to wait for me to come home." At that moment, Serena agreed nicely, but in practice, it was completely different. Fortunately, Liam finished early this time. When he returned home, he saw the light in the villa living room was still on. He guessed that Serena must haven't slept yet. It was already 10 o'clock at night. When he got home, the first thing Liam said to Serena was to tell her to go to sleep. But Serena chased Liam to the bathroom. The sound of washing hands was splashing, somewhat masking Serena's nasal voice. "I just wanted to wait for Uncle. Uncle, did you eat dinner? The noodles cooked by the nanny auntie are delicious." Liam dried his hands and scraped the tip of Serena's nose. "Little foodie, thinking about eating all day long. Hurry up and take a shower and go to sleep. Otherwise, you'll have to spend the morning catching up on sleep tomorrow." "I definitely won't tomorrow." Saying that, she ran upstairs in a flash. "I'm going to shower. Good night, Uncle," Liam sighed. "Rest early." In the middle of the night, Liam felt something rustling and climbing up behind his back. The person who was sleeping soundly opened his eyes abruptly, listening to the movement behind him. Who knew that person just lay down gently beside him and made no more moves? Liam's suspended heart finally relaxed. He turned on the bedside night light and looked back. It was Serena staring at him with her almond eyes. "What are you doing here?" Liam picked up his phone and glanced at it. It was already past 4 in the morning. "I can't sleep. Can Uncle keep me company?" Serena's voice was small, and she coughed twice after speaking. Liam rolled out of bed. "You lie down for a while. I'll pour you a glass of water. It's only spring. Why start coughing?" When Liam came back with water, Serena's eyes were closed, but obviously she wasn't asleep yet, her hand loosely gripping Liam's blanket. "Get up, drink some water." Serena sat up, her small face flushed red. Her distinctively jointed hands held the glass cup, drinking sip by sip. When Serena put down the cup, Liam turned off the nightlight. Just a few seconds after lying down, Liam suddenly asked, "What did you play this morning?" Serena didn't speak. Liam thought it was because Serena was afraid of being blamed by him, so he didn't continue asking. He reached back and happened to touch the little girl's hand. Liam sighed, pulled her over, and embraced her in his arms. After all, she was a little sister. Liam just treated Serena as his own sister. Liam thought of countless possibilities. Maybe Serena felt insecure sleeping alone because her parents weren't home, or simply insomnia. As soon as he hugged her, Liam found that Serena's body in his arms was astonishingly hot. With this touch, he knew why Serena ran over to find him in the middle of the night. Liam didn't even have time to turn on the light. He wanted to wake Serena up directly. Serena heard Liam's voice and moved quickly. She gently lifted her eyelids, only feeling uncomfortable. The person in front of her was blurry and unclear. She reached out, wanting to touch the only person in front of her who she felt was reliable. Liam was a light sleeper. Disturbed by Serena's dream like this, he naturally woke up. The night light was turned on again. Liam's hand touched the child's forehead. It was burning hot. Although it wasn't the flu season, without knowing what Serena did in the morning or her constitution, it was normal to get a fever easily. Uncle Jones also heard the commotion and knocked on the master bedroom door. "Mr. Pierce, is something wrong?" Liam opened the door. "Renee seems to have a slight fever. I'll call my friend to come over." That so-called friend was actually one of Liam's high school classmates, also one of Liam's few friends at school. Sean Lane and Liam were old acquaintances. The two were good brothers in high school, and even now, he lived in a villa area not far from the Sterling home. Sean studied medicine and had some business acumen. He managed his own pharmaceutical group while acting as a so-called private doctor for Liam, because Liam rarely went to the hospital. Sean, this private doctor, rarely had a chance to help. However, he didn't expect this time the first time was a call from this good brother at 5 or 6 in the morning. Sean, with warm jade and soft fragrance in his arms, covered his pillow partner with the quilt and changed clothes to go out. Liam rarely disturbed him in the middle of the night. It must be urgent today. The two lived close by. In less than 10 minutes, Uncle Jones welcomed Sean in. Liam was measuring Serena's temperature in the room. "You're here. Sorry to disturb you at night. The kid has a fever, 101.1 degrees F, 38.4 degrees C, just measured." Sean asked Liam to help Serena up first, looked at her throat and tongue coating. "Nothing serious, probably caught a cold. Is this the little girl you said you were tutoring? Don't mention it, she's quite well behaved." Liam nodded. "It just turned spring, maybe she wore too little." Children have a playful nature. When you are not at home, ask Uncle Jones to look after her. Sean packed up the medical kit he brought for the house call, tossing out a box of fever reducers casually. "Twice a day, half a tablet each time. Stop the medicine when the temperature drops below 99.1 degrees F, 37.3 degrees C. Remember to drink plenty of hot water." Liam finished feeding the medicine to Serena and sat at the foot of the bed. "I also have a problem. When she came to find me at night, I heard a little nasal sound. I didn't pay attention." Hearing this, Sean's eyes lit up. "You two live in the same room now? You let someone touch you?" "Liam, how long has she been at your house? Her status is already higher than mine, your brother." Liam didn't make a sound. Today he did indeed. Actively touch Serena. When feeding medicine, he also touched the back of Serena's neck, and he didn't have any feeling of disgust. "You don't remember, but I do. When we first met, I touched you, and your face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Did you secretly find a psychologist? Seems the effect isn't bad." Sean finished his business and couldn't help gossiping. He didn't expect Liam could actively have physical contact with others so quickly. Although the other party was just a little girl, apparently this progress could barely be counted as a change. Because Liam's father had a bad temper and possibly committed domestic violence, Liam basically rarely accepted others' touch. Because he always felt that person wanted to attack him. As for touching others, it would only make Liam think of his father's face after getting drunk. Thinking of this, Liam felt a wave of nausea. "I didn't pay attention at the time, nor did I have any physiological reaction of wanting to vomit like before. Finding a psychologist is you overthinking it. I said this illness probably won't be cured." Sean straightened his expression. I still advise you to go see one. Maybe this is just because you accidentally touched someone and felt nothing. In case one day that little guy touches you, don't kick her out. Hearing Sean speak so seriously, Liam couldn't help doubting his impression in Sean's mind. Not likely. Am I that ferocious? Liam sighed. Take good care of this little girl. I'm leaving first. Someone is waiting for me at home to cook. Bye. Liam finally moved his gaze glued to Serena. After seeing Sean off, Liam's thoughts returned intermittently. Because he was often beaten since childhood, he slowly developed psychological barriers. At first, no one paid attention to him anyway, so Liam was happy to be free. Until Sean had contact with him for the first time, only then did he know his reaction was so big. But today, it seemed indeed he had healed a lot unconsciously. After taking medicine, the flush on Serena's face gradually faded. Not long after she woke up leisurely, her eyelids moved slightly, then opened, looking at Liam, who had been guarding the bedside, handling official duties. "Uncle, don't you need to go to work today?" Serena asked softly because she was sick and looked listless. "Today is Saturday, and you have a fever again, so I gave myself a day off too." Serena wasn't very reassured. After all, she didn't want to delay Liam's work and making money because of her affairs. "Is it really okay? I can take care of myself. Uncle doesn't need to worry about me." But Liam wouldn't believe a little girl could take care of herself. "It's okay, just rest well." Liam looked at Serena. The child was really sensible, making one's heart ache. Serena watched Liam work for a while. Maybe due to the medicine, she fell asleep again not long after, until 7 or 8 o'clock when she got up again. Liam specifically asked the kitchen to cook pork and preserved egg congee. After all, Serena was sick. Eating something she liked should help her recover quickly. When Liam was sick as a child, he thought about eating candy. When he grew up and ate it, it didn't seem as sweet as in his memory. "Is it pork and preserved egg congee?" Serena's eyes lit up. "I feel like I haven't eaten it recently." "You've only been here a few days. If you want to eat anything, just tell the kitchen auntie directly. No need to hide it." Serena took the porcelain bowl, scooped a spoonful into her mouth, and mumbled, "My dad told me the same originally. But I feel the aunties are so busy. Better not trouble them. They have wages." Speaking of this, Liam remembered he seemed to have never given Serena pocket money or his contact information. Although she didn't lack food or clothes, just in case the little girl wanted something and was embarrassed to tell him, she could just buy it directly. But in fact, Serena didn't lack anything at all. What she lacked was always just the simplest companionship. Children, after all, need maternal and paternal love the most. But precisely, this point was not given to Serena. Speaking of this, Serena was a bit sad, because when Robert and Mary were at home, they just gave her cold gifts and toys. These weren't what she wanted. Serena felt much better. She rolled out of bed, ran to her bedroom on the second floor, and said while darting, "Come with me." Liam thought it was just a child's whim and didn't ask anything else, following her upstairs. When they arrived in the room, Serena was rummaging through things in the cabinet. Less than 10 seconds later, she pulled out a stack of papers. "Uncle, look, these are all drawings I drew." When Liam saw the content on those papers, he was shocked. They were all anime character drawings, and the detail precision was no less than professional comic artists. Liam looked at those fine drawings one by one. The bottom one was actually him working in the study. "I saw it before and drew it. How is it? Doesn't it look especially good?" Serena asked in a tone almost soliciting praise. "This drawing is for you? Okay, thank you then." Liam came back to his senses, took the drawing, and asked Serena with a smile. Serena shifted her gaze to Liam at this moment. "Uncle doesn't need to buy me anything. I don't have anything I want right now. Just wanted to play properly for a while." Seeing Serena repeatedly refuse, Liam didn't persist with his idea. After all, Serena didn't want anything. If he forced it on Serena, probably she wouldn't accept it easily. "All right, hurry back and rest. Wait a bit longer and the fever might come back." Liam laughed involuntarily. "Do I rest in my own room or go to Uncle's bedroom? I left my blanket there last night." Liam thought about it and finally said, "You better sleep downstairs. The medicine and water are there. You have to take it again at night." Serena stuffed all the drawings back into the cabinet and ran downstairs to burrow into the covers to sleep, leaving Liam alone in place, not knowing what to say. Serena, with her cuteness and obedience, bit by bit rushed into Liam's heart. When measuring the temperature again after taking medicine at night, it had dropped almost completely. Liam looked at the thermometer. 98.9 degrees F, 37.2 degrees C. Pretty much healed. Cover yourself well with the blanket at night. The heating is on in the house. Don't get a fever again. Serena agreed honestly, telling Liam to rest assured. A few days later, Serena was thoroughly healed. Every day she was either bored enough to watch soap operas or drilled into her room to draw. That night, Liam knocked on Serena's bedroom door and asked, "What are you doing? Can I come in?" In his tone, there was a bit more of a coaxing quality, like treating a child. "Uncle, come in." "Is something wrong?" Serena put down the pencil she was sketching with, got up from the stool, and looked up at Liam, who was more than half a head taller than her. Liam took out the gift he had prepared long ago, but Liam wasn't sure if Serena would like it. After all, drawing on paper was very troublesome. If she could draw on a tablet, it might be helpful for finding a job later. Serena looked at the gift box in Liam's hand and guessed, slightly based on the size. "Let me guess first. Is it a tablet?" Liam leaned against the doorframe and smiled gently. How so sharp? Since when did Renee become so smart? Really didn't put a bit of cleverness into studying. "My cleverness is biased towards certain subjects," Serena said while opening the gift box. The moment she saw the tablet, Serena was still a bit stunned. "Isn't this the latest model released by this brand? Uncle, you really are more than a little rich." Actually, this money was given by Robert. It counted as Serena spending her father's money. Serena plugged in the tablet to charge, preparing to startle Liam. Seeing Liam still at the door not leaving, she suddenly ran over, wanting to hug him. Who knew this brother didn't react in time and out of habit dodged backward. Serena suddenly lunged onto the corridor. Her head narrowly missed the railing, making a loud noise in the empty villa. Liam was stunned. Serena lay on the ground without making a sound. After a pause of 2 seconds, Serena sat up, her eyes wet. But the tears just swirled in her eyes, stubbornly not flowing out, probably from the pain. Serena stood up. "Next time if Uncle doesn't want to hug me, just say so. You made my head swell like a pig's head." After speaking, she walked into the room, glancing at Liam blocking the doorframe. "Can you move aside? I want to draw in the room." Liam took 2 steps back, and the door slammed shut instantly. He could tell Serena was angry. How to coax her? Actually, it was his fault. He dodged subconsciously and hadn't told this innocent little girl about this matter yet. Serena wasn't feeling good in the room either. Her forehead hit the floor just now. Her delicate small face now had a red mark on the forehead. Just as she downloaded the software and prepared to sketch, the pain on her forehead became intense. Looking in the mirror, she found it had swollen, with traces of bruising. She knew she couldn't keep hurting like this. Just as she wanted to go downstairs to find Uncle Jones for an ice cube, she turned around and ran into Liam, who was still leaning against the railing. Liam wanted to say something. Just as he opened his mouth, he was blocked back by the bang of the door closing. It seemed she was really angry. Liam didn't know how to coax people, let alone a little girl. He had always been alone all these years. Sean could be called his only friend, but his temper was infinitely good, so Liam had never actively coaxed anyone. After thinking for a while, Liam decided to call and ask Sean. After all, as someone with a girlfriend, coaxing girls and coaxing a girlfriend shouldn't be much different. Over there, Sean answered the phone lazily. "What's up? Calling me when you have nothing to do. Tell me, what do you need to beg me for? I upset the little girl at home. How do I coax her? Now she won't even look at me." Liam said helplessly. "Oh, our young Master Pierce has a day like this too. How did you make her unhappy? Elaborate." Liam reviewed the incident for Sean, causing Sean waves of speechlessness. "Liam, is there something wrong with your brain? It's fine if you don't accept her expressing affection, but you didn't tell her about this bad habit beforehand. Now look, it's a mess. If you ask me, your EQ is not even as good as that little girl's." "Isn't that why I came to ask you what to do?" Sean could hear his sigh through the phone. "If you ask me, hurry up and find an ice pack to send to her, coax her with some nice words, and untwist that blockhead of yours. Don't always think about your idiot dad's business and be so wary of this little girl. By the way, since we're talking about it, how is the company recently? Is the plan going smoothly?" Liam's tone instantly relaxed a lot. "Not bad." Only then was Sean reassured. "All right then, that's it. Hurry and coax her. It'll be more troublesome if dragged out." Liam went downstairs, found an ice pack in the freezer, and came to Serena's bedroom door again. "Renaa, can you let me in?" Serena was annoyed by the pain in her forehead. Although drawing could effectively help her calm her mind, it still couldn't block the irritation between her brows. The moment their eyes met, that aura of Serena, completely different from usual, thoroughly flowed out. The look she gave Liam held no warmth, only the coldness reserved for a stranger. "Does Uncle need something?" Serena looked up, asking Liam softly. "About what happened just now? I'm sorry." Serena laughed lightly. "It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just a child. I don't have a temper, not worth coaxing." Presumably, she had heard the conversation outside clearly. "No, that's not it. I didn't mean not to tell you. I just initially..." Liam's tone was very light, like treating a fragile piece of porcelain. Liam told Serena everything about his situation. Only then did Serena directly forgive this uncle with such a strange illness. But Serena didn't take this matter to heart at all. The next second, she touched him. Liam almost subconsciously wanted to shrink back, but after being discovered by Serena, Liam was glared at. He could only obediently put his hand on the table for Serena to touch. Obviously, this time, Liam wasn't particularly disgusted by being touched by Serena. In the days after that, Serena and Liam's relationship got better and better. The deepest impression was that bowl of black noodles cooked for Serena that time. Wyatt heard Liam talk so much about Serena's childhood, somewhat disbelieving. After all, the current Serena looked quite different from the one in Liam's mouth. Serena was very cold now, even her heart and eyes were only full of work. Although he didn't know why Serena did this, now Wyatt understood. It was just to show Liam. Just then, the sound of coughing came from the ward inside. Wyatt and Liam heard the movement and immediately rushed in together. Seeing Serena reaching for that glass of water, Wyatt immediately rushed up to use a cotton swab to dab water for Serena. Obviously, with Wyatt by Serena's side now, Liam couldn't do anything so directly and decisively. After all, the person who was boyfriend and girlfriend with Serena now was Wyatt, not him. He didn't have any right to snatch the chance to be attentive in front of others. Serena said a few words to Wyatt. Because Serena had no strength, Wyatt could only lean close to hear what she was saying. Close enough that Serena's lips almost touched Wyatt's cheek. But as soon as her voice fell, she saw his dark eyes staring at her. The look was unfathomable, but clearly not quite right. Serena cast an unclear glance at Liam, then looked away. Just laughing and talking with Wyatt. Just based on this, Liam felt a sense of defeat, so he had to go find Fiona and that group to vent. Soon Fiona also knew that what she did was very unpresentable. She immediately admitted that she instigated this matter, but Fiona herself said she also listened to someone else's words. But this, someone else, never appeared from beginning to end. Liam just took it as an excuse Fiona found. In the end, Liam sent Fiona to the police station for intentional injury, leaving it to the police to judge. During the time Liam wasn't in the ward, Wyatt told Serena about the things outside the ward earlier. He said that when Liam recalled that time, he looked a bit happy. This surprised Serena a bit. She also learned that Liam had already sent Fiona to the police station. Serena understood even less. She didn't understand what Liam was doing all this for. At this moment, Liam carried fruit to the outside of the ward. He pursed his lips into a straight line. He happened to see Wyatt feeding her congee. Liam came in directly without knocking. Serena looked up. His jaw was tight, his eyes cold, like a lion ready to strike. Serena sensed a sour smell of jealousy on Liam, yet she said nothing. Serena also wanted to know how long Liam could endure, to what degree he could endure. After a while, Liam said to Wyatt, Mr. Quincy, can you avoid us for a moment?" His gaze carried a faint scrutiny. She met his eyes for 2 seconds and replied calmly, "Why?" At this moment, meeting the other party's straight gaze, Serena pursed her lips uncomfortably and finally admitted defeat. Wyatt also knew he couldn't stay any longer at this time. After all, seeing his expression, he suddenly realized that the situation seemed to have unknowingly taken on the smell of gunpowder. After Wyatt went out, she looked at him with a light smile, her eyes calm. The two seemed to be in a silent confrontation. After a short silence, he put the fruit on the bedside table. Perhaps Liam would eventually understand his heart for Serena. No, he should have understood long ago. It was just that Liam always felt there was someone more suitable for Serena. And after this person appeared, Liam felt as if he wasn't happy at all. Liam also arbitrarily felt that Serena herself wasn't happy either, thinking she was just taking revenge on him. Yes, Serena had indeed achieved her goal now, and also succeeded in making Liam uncomfortable, angry, and jealous. His whole being was firmly grasped by Serena. Liam couldn't refute this point at all. Liam sat beside Serena's hospital bed, then pressed his forehead against hers, his voice gentle as before. "Don't marry anyone else, okay?" This was the first time Liam made a request to her, and the first time Serena felt a different emotion from Liam. She wiped away her tears and looked at him coldly. "Didn't you hope I would get married before? Why do you hope I won't marry anyone else now?" "Why?" Her voice was cold as ice. "Why do I have to listen to everything you say? Why do I have to do whatever you say?" He sighed and pulled her into his arms. Serena didn't struggle. Feeling her thin shoulders twitching and trembling constantly, the wetness spreading on his neck scalded his heart bit by bit. Liam said softly, "I regret it." Serena froze for a while, then asked tremblingly, "What?" Liam's eyelashes lowered, staring at the few teardrops gathering on the back of his hand and sliding down. His Adam's apple rolled slowly. Soon, he looked up again and said hoarsely, "The act of pushing you to someone else, the act of my fake proposal to Fiona, I regret it very much. I regret it to death." This sentence was the most satisfying for Serena. After all, it was a sentence she had waited for so long. But Serena wouldn't forgive Liam so quickly. Serena pushed Liam away directly. "So am I someone you can send away when you say so, and will come back when you say so? Liam, are you distressed that I got hurt for you, or do you like me from the bottom of your heart? Didn't you say you wouldn't like a little girl like me? Didn't you want me to marry someone else? Now that I found someone to marry, why do you still want to intervene?" He raised his hand and gently wiped the tears from her face. Liam knew Serena was saying angry words. He didn't expect Serena to forgive him so quickly. He felt the freezing cold tears at this moment were like molten lava, burning him all over with pain. His throat was dry, and he couldn't speak. Liam at that time didn't actually think that way. He just said things against his heart. In this life, he did many things against his heart and said many words against his heart. None brought consequences like this time. Seeing Liam couldn't say a word for a long time, Serena didn't continue questioning. One sentence answered all the questions for Liam. "Didn't you just dislike me clinging to you? I won't cling to you this time. This game, forgive me for not playing along." After hearing this, Liam left the ward. During this time, it was Wyatt who accompanied Serena. Liam was nowhere to be seen. Only when Wyatt was going through discharge procedures did she know that Liam had borne all the medical expenses. Serena didn't have much expression fluctuation after knowing, just staring at that discharge slip in Wyatt's hand in a daze. She never felt that her sentence was heavier than what Liam had said back then. After all, these things were real. Liam had indeed abandoned her just like that. But the love hidden in the heart, the more it was hidden, the more intense it became. Especially after knowing about Liam's fake proposal to Fiona because of this matter, Serena became more and more certain that perhaps Liam also had feelings for her. Otherwise, why choose a fake proposal? And why run back anxiously to find her because of her WeChat moments? Those moments were actually deliberately posted for Liam to see. She didn't know how much time passed before Serena showed up at his door. Liam heard Serena ask, "Uncle Liam, were you happy without disturbing you these past few days?" He didn't move or speak, but shook his head gently in his heart. He wasn't happy. He wasn't even used to it. "I felt terrible. I thought I could persist a bit longer, but only half a month felt like a century passed," Serena said again. "It was really hard to endure. Really hard to endure." How many unspoken feelings were in these few words? It was more than hard to endure. She used her greatest willpower to restrain herself from visiting, from texting Liam, cruelly pretending there was no Liam in the world, yet tossing and turning late at night, his name on her lips and teeth. At this moment, Liam finally raised his head. He looked at Serena and said hoarsely, "Me too." It wasn't until Serena was coaxed into marrying Liam that she discovered Robert and Mary had long been persuaded by Liam. No wonder Robert and Mary found excuses to go on business trips and even asked Liam to take care of her. It turned out she was sold out without even knowing it.